First of all, let me ask this. Let's start this. Luce, there's a new house in the mix. Tell us how it's going with the move. You have empty shells behind you, so are they boxes? It's very blurry.
No, I blurred it for a reason. You see this tiny little smudge here in my blurred out background?
It's just a blur.
No, I am going to be painting and putting wallpaper up this weekend.
Okay.
I had to deep clean my other place, which was an entire 12-hour endeavor, and so I didn't get as much done this weekend as I would have liked to. But
did you get your deposit back?
Let's find out, Jake. Let's find out. Why do you think I rented a carpet cleaner?
Yeah, you went all in. Yeah, I was like, damn, she rented the thing from the grocery store.
Yeah, except peanut and or jelly broke 2 of the blinds, so that's definitely going to get taken out. But no, I am in the process of moving, and it's very nice and exciting to be in a different space and just enjoy it. And also decorating is lovely. My friend Max has been helping me. It's so funny because I'll text him and we're like, do you have a different kind of hand saw? My wrist hurts. And he comes over and he just puts baseboards up for me. I'm like, thanks, Max.
Nice.
So no, it's great. I promise by the next episode there will be some kind of sound dampening.
Gamer stuff in the background.
Yeah, some
as well.
RGB
It's important.
lights. Something.
Everyone you're not allowed to have a podcast without some gaming stuff in the background. It's a rule.
That's a boxed Mordin Solus figurine behind me, so don't worry,
I'll allow it.
He'll be in there somewhere.
I gotta say, you're doing this moving thing way better. So this is the second move through the podcast, because I moved into my place during the podcast, and I felt like I crashed into every episode. My internet wasn't working for half. Do you remember that? There was like a span of 6 months where it was like I was a hot mess.
Sucked.
You're way better at this. Yeah.
We really sucked.
I forgot about that. I mean, I set up my internet like a weirdly long time ago because I'm on fiber now.
Oof.
Nice.
Yeah, damn, must be nice.
All right.
I know. It is really nice. It's really good. I was so excited about it, but I broke up officially with Comcast over the weekend.
Bye.
Dropped their clothes off in a bag, and by that I mean the modem. And now I feel free. But anyway, this is a video game podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's an interior design podcast. Although, no, I'm kidding. Welcome everyone to another episode of Friends Per Second. I am I was trying to come up with a fun nickname for us
Lucy
all.
Shames. Lucy Shames.
Lucy Shames, who will give a big thumbs up or thumbs down to everyone's interior design ideas. We got Shill Up.
No, it's me.
And we got Jake Baldino.
I was going to say, try Jerk Baldino. Jerk
Baldino.
Yeah.
No, fake Baldino.
Yeah,
no, I'm not fake. I'm a jerk.
Jerk Baldino's pretty good, actually. I like that. Yeah.
I don't like calling you guys jerks or shills.
As long as you don't call me, just don't call me Jake from State Farm, or I'll do something.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that's
just a reference that I know through like osmosis of American culture. I don't really even know what State Farm is.
Good, you're better off.
Is it insurance?
Yes.
Okay.
If your house burns down, they won't help.
What's Flow?
Flow is Progressive Insurance. And then
I thought
Geico.
It's not like a digestive sort of thing. Like if you're, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
You're like constipated or whatever, you take Flow and you're all good or something. No.
What do you have for insurance companies, like Dibbly Dam or some shit?
Dibbly Dam.
We have one called Scottish Widows.
What? That's brutal. Holy shit.
Don't check that. At least
there's no fucking way that's real. That's bullshit.
Scottish
Widows. It's all right, guys. I'm insured by Scottish Widows.
Yeah, we have one called Haunted Horsemen's.
We have Scottish Widows. I think we've got Lemonade. I think Lemonade's over here too. But yeah, Scottish Widows. I remember they used to have really dramatic TV adverts of a woman in a big black cloak walking through a forest.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sort of like
that's awesome.
Coded.
Yeah. So, but video games, I guess.
Sort of, sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes. Fun episode. I say fun episode. We haven't actually really recorded it yet, so remains to be seen.
Well, we got some things. We're cooking.
Yeah, we've got Leah from Bigmode to talk about just how the hell she and Donkey got into publishing video games in the first place, what their plans are, the reaction to Animal Well. We're recording this on the day that the GDC Award nominations have been announced, and so plenty more noms for them there. So best of luck to the Animal Well team.
Sure.
We're also going to talk a little bit about what we've been playing, what we're enjoying that's not video games, and I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Just jump right into
Let's
it.
just jump right into it. Thing is that we've started doing that when we do our interviews, and
We
it's
gotta
very
stop.
funny. It's very
Yeah.
funny because you can tell when guests don't really know.
They don't know the
Like,
reference.
what's
They're
going
like, why are
on?
you saying this multiple times?
Why are you
Just
like?
jump into it.
We were doing a test recording because we have a really convoluted way that we record, and as a professional video producer, I felt it was my job to bother these two so we could streamline it. And we were testing stuff out with Riverside, and it lets you do a test recording, and it was just the three of us going, let's just jump right into it.
And we're back.
Let's just jump right into it. So
We'll put that on something one day.
yeah,
that's
just
it.
I'll put it in the
That'll be the deep
Substack
cuts.
actually.
Yeah, we'll have a Patreon where all the only subscription content we offer
Unhinged
is
clips.
us just going, and we're back over and over again. Let us know if you'd like that kind of Patreon, guys. All right, just let us know in the comments below. That'd be great.
I actually will put that in the Substack because that's actually a good piece of hashtag bonus content.
Yeah, I think actually one thing we haven't mentioned is stuff we're doing on socials, and let's talk
Yeah.
about that quickly at the top of the
yeah.
episode. Yeah, so this year is the year of platforms. That's what we're calling it, right?
We want to be everywhere,
calling it
baby.
that?
We want to be everywhere. So basically, like you've always been able to watch the podcast on YouTube and listen to it on other podcast platforms. And all that remains true, except now you're also going to be able to watch the podcast on Spotify if you have Spotify at all. But if you're a premium subscriber, you also don't get any like mid-roll ads interrupting your listening when you're listening on Spotify and premium. So that's pretty cool. I'm putting all the skill up stuff on there as well, and it's gotten great feedback. Good listening experience. People really like it. So there's that. And we've also revived our clip or segment channel. I don't know what we really call it.
Yeah.
Clip zone.
Clips channel, clip zone. Oh damn! Wow, that's great. We need some like 90s themed art to go with that. So we understand not everyone has time for like a big 2 or 3 hour podcast, and so we in the past had set up a channel where we just pull out our major segments and we upload them. Not everything we discuss. We might record for like 2 or 3 hours, and then we pull out maybe like 3 10-minute blocks out of that, just the highlights of the show. So if you're looking for the highlights of this, please head over to just YouTube search Friends Per Second Highlights.
Yes.
And you'll see it there. We'll leave a link to it in the description below. And that's a good way just to stay on top of the stuff we discuss in the podcast. That's available to you as well.
If you follow any other podcasts and maybe you're into their clip channels, it's going to be a similar type of thing. Top level stuff,
Exactly.
some shorts, stuff like that. But we're having a little fun with it, so it'll be cool. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Let's jump right into it.
Let's talk about some...
Sorry, that's my last story.
Welcome to
That's
the Brain Rot podcast.
Right.
It only took us 4 years.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really think about. We tried to figure out what to talk about. Obviously, there's the Xbox news, there's the Ubisoft news, and also we all played Assassin's Creed Shadows as part of the recent preview. So, do we want to start with Xbox and then go into Ubisoft, or the other way around?
Yeah, I think we talk about the good news first.
Yeah, Xbox had a good
Yes.
thing. They had a good
I
showing.
think
They had a
great
good
thing.
show.
It was nice. Ninja Gaiden is back, and I'm very happy.
Yes.
That is my type of thing. I have not played Black 2 or 2 Black, but I'm glad they shadow
it's
dropped
Ninja
that.
Gaiden 2 Black. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
So, if you are unaware, last week Xbox had their first developer direct of the year. They showed off Expedition Claire Obscure.
Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Only ever gonna
Probably
call it
the worst
Expedition
name ever.
33. No.
Yes.
The new Supermassive game is called like Directive 2077 or something. I'm just I'm not gonna remember that. I'm sorry.
77.
So we're gonna look at Expedition 33. Doom, The Dark Ages, we're gonna look at that, as well as a release date, May 15th. Another look at South of Midnight, which is coming out April. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Shadow drops on Game Pass and Xbox. And Ninja Gaiden 4 got announced, and Platinum is working on it too.
Yeah.
So
Which I think
good.
is cool.
time.
I'm hoping that it's essentially Platinum. I mean, Platinum's had a lot of changes. Obviously, they've had leadership
Big time.
changes and stuff like that. I'm hoping this is a way for, the remainder of Platinum to kind of find its way back. I'm hoping. I think it's a cool collaboration. And for a game like Ninja Gaiden that is so combat focused, and some of that's already established. I guess it's good for them to kind of mess with that. Oh, were you guys getting like Devil May Cry 4 vibes from this in terms of it being like a new character and then Ryu Hayabusa shows up and then like clearly their paths cross and they're enemies, but then they're going to be friends and
then
you play as both. I would hope that would be cool.
That would be pretty
I want to see him with no shirt on.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at those sorts of games, and I think I can't really judge them until I play them. In the sense that like you just see lots of fast clips of stuff.
You can't feel you got to
feel it, and it's all about the feel with that sort of game, And so I'm glad they're doing it. I love Ninja Gaiden back in the day. It's really great to see it returning. Part of me wishes it was a bit more straight down the line in terms of its like presentation and setting. Like I really would have loved to have just had a new Ninja Gaiden that is just still the old school Ninja Gaiden, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But I'm also very into the future thing. Like that's a cool angle on it. I'm interested to see what they do with that. I'm down for a new character. Like it's cool that they're being inventive with it, But part of me still yearns for like, that old feeling that from back in the Xbox days that was sick as hell, So yeah, but it's exciting. It's good stuff. The other announcement. So then the South of Midnight for me was actually like the coolest thing there. I don't know.
Wow, really?
I actually loved the look of it. Just in terms of presentation and
I'm into
I was
that.
Super into it.
Yeah.
I look at the gameplay side of it, like the combat. I'm not expecting great.
Yeah, the
combat.
combat's not good for me.
What was that game? The Kana Bridge of.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's going to be a very
to be honest with you,
serviceable third person.
Which that game ended up being like Dark Souls by the end.
Yeah, that game.
Correct. Some of the bosses in that.
Oh my god.
Some of the bosses in that were really
last
tough.
boss.
But that last boss, fuck me.
Yeah.
So, but I look at that experience and I kind of look at it, contextualize where the gameplay is going to fit within it, and it's obviously important, but I think it's going to be far less important than like this world and these characters and like the overall experience, the vibe that it's giving off, and that for me was just felt fantastic, and I was super into it. I've never seen a setting quite like that, I just was really, really down for that. I was quite impressed.
I'm hoping it's cool. For me, it's like that's my type of game. I like third person action adventure, so I'm gonna try it regardless. I'm definitely gonna give it a shot. It still reminds me like a lot of the gliding and jumping and stuff. And the powers. It kind of reminds me of like an Infamous type of thing or Infamous adjacent. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
See what happens. And thankfully, we don't have to wait too long.
Yeah, God, this year is going
release date's
quick.
Yeah, because the release date on that one is like April 10th, I think.
Yeah.
So very soon.
Yeah.
And the other announced release date was
Doom.
Doom is in May.
And Expedition. Well, Doom leaked.
Expedition.
The release date leaked.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
May 15th.
But Expedition 33, I also think looks fantastic. I feel like it's if like a bunch of Western developers made an Atlas game in terms of the presentation and the menus and the way they're all like flipping around and shit's happening when you're like scrolling through stuff. The imagination of that game setting is wild. It's just I loved it so much as well. And
this is still my most anticipated by far.
Right, interesting.
Yeah.
Like for the whole year, you mean?
Yeah, it's up there.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's just fresh, different.
Sure.
It's not a sequel. It's just
I loved what I
thing.
saw at Gamescom last year. Isn't
me too.
They posted about that weird there's like a character in there that collects feet or something or loves feet, and then the Xbox Game Pass account
they were like, don't
posted back, no community manager, don't make my mistake.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
But they're very the team is incredible. They've been pretty upfront about how Final Fantasy VIII inspired they are, which I think is very cool, and the fact that like a gaming marketing thing, like a corporate gaming marketing thing focused on like, and guess what? We have a world map. And the characters travel around. I was like, that's awesome. Like they get it. I from the presentation to the mix of art styles, mix of architectural styles, like the period styles. I'm
I'm
all
ready for
over
it to be weird,
Yeah, it's definitely going to be weird. You could tell. But like the focus on storytelling, the little bits of cutscenes I got to see like a little bit at Gamescom. Like they're trying to tell something. All the people like are performers. Like they're actors. They're doing a really good job. So I really hope it's as cool as all of its parts look.
I think I spoke about this on the podcast before, so forgive me if I did. But I remember when I saw it at Gamescom, talking to the team, the second or third person that they hired on the team was the composer. And so the music has been part of the process from the very beginning. Because I remember seeing it behind the scenes and thinking, wow, that music sounds like really impressive. And yeah, it was just because their composer had been part of it for so long.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, one downside though.
What's that?
That vagabond Ben Starr is in it.
I know.
That guy
That
sucks.
menace Ben
He's in another
Starr.
game. My God. When is enough?
Another one.
That's what I text him every time I'm watching a thing and he's in it. I message him
that's
going,
you.
again?
Jesus.
Another one?
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
I'm very excited for him because that's like, it's Andy Serkis.
that's crazy.
Is it Charlie Cox, Jennifer English? Like, that's a good cast.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this little team made a game that looks this good, is this interesting, and has that voice cast. Like, what happened?
It's a small team and it's their first.
Secretly funded by some billionaire that's just like underwriting all of their activities. You know what I mean?
Billionaire
Like,
that
what's
just
going
really
on?
loved Final Fantasy 7.
Really loved
Final Fantasy
exactly
7
right.
and 8, yeah.
Incredibly based billionaire. We found the one good billionaire who wants to use their money for a good cause, making a new Final Fantasy 8 in 2025. You know, God bless. So yeah, no, it's very exciting.
High hopes.
But yeah, the
Fingers crossed.
Doom, and then I think the big reveal obviously was a Doom game.
Yeah.
Not reveal because we knew it was coming. We got a good look at it. What did you guys think?
Ow, sorry, my cat is trapped in a headphone wire. Carry on.
I'll say that it seems pretty awesome. I like how they framed the change up of gameplay between Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, Doom. In that context, it sounds really interesting. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I don't need the same thing again. I'll try this. Two things that are like kind of like weird flags for me still is the exploration in terms of pacing. You know, people can argue like, yeah, the original Doom in 94 had exploration, but like you're kind of just wandering around rooms looking for keys.
Yeah.
Here, it seems like it's like more hub structure and like wandering around. So I'm just hoping that the pacing is still good. If they can keep that pacing up, I'm into it. The other thing is the glory kills are nowhere near as cool in my mind. So it seems like what they did was, because they hyped it up. They're like, now you can do it from any angle and you have the freedom to do it however. But it's kind of just aim based, and then it's a melee, like a melee swing. Where I get why they would do that so it doesn't lock the player into an animation. But this is also the Doom game where they said it's a little bit more tanky and deliberate. Yeah. And that's when I do want to see like press R3 to rip a man's jaw off. So it's like little things like that. I'm like, oh, I hope that's cool. But then like they show you riding on dragons and, you know, doing all this crazy shit with mechs. And I'm like, I will absolutely play this.
See, thank you.
But like, I actually see I see it sort of differently, and I guess it's kind of coming back to my thoughts on Doom Eternal, right? So like, first of all, I loved Doom 2016.
Yes.
It's like fucking masterpiece. I think it was basically perfect. I really enjoyed Doom Eternal as well. Don't get me wrong. You know, I really did. It's a fantastic video game, but I think the combat was its own thing that you either liked or you didn't. Not because it was bad or good, because it was just different. You know, it's far more demanding in terms of like its mechanical pace and its ammo economy and whatever else. And it was definitely a better gameplay model in terms of like its sophistication, but it also was a lot more, how would I say it? Like a lot more, it required you to think a lot more. Whereas, like, I think in Doom 2016, you just felt a lot
It's just
more.
power
Yeah,
fantasy.
you just ripped
It's just
and
it's just pure shooting shit, and so you didn't have to think very hard. You just did it.
Yeah.
And I love that. Whereas you really had to be quite much more strategic, you know, which is again fantastic. But I just preferred that more simple gameplay model.
Me too.
But I think the thing that I didn't love about Doom Eternal was it was kind of like, I kind of felt like it was sniffing its own farts a little bit in terms of the setting and the whole like, he is the Doom Slayer and look at this world and whatever. And then like the restraint of 2016, really, I love that. I just love that it was very understated and it wasn't trying to build up the mythos of this person, of the Doom Slayer. It took it as written that it existed and everything just had to happen after that. Like it just felt like it was always trying to pile on more mythos, more epicness, whatever, all that sort of shit in Eternal. This feels like that times a million. This feels like Far Cry Blood Dragon levels of like that kind of
Fart
thing.
sniffing.
Do you know what I mean? Which I actually loved in Far Cry. Far Cry Blood Dragon, unbelievable banger.
Yes.
Like, what a legendary game, right? 100%. But do I want Doom to kind of go in that direction? Not really. I kind of wanted to skew a little bit more to that kind of more restrained, more serious, more self-serious style of storytelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm gonna have a great time playing it, you know. But if you had shown me a different version of it that is more restrained, I probably would be more excited for it than I am now. I'd say.
Yeah, I will say that cutscenes with like talking protagonists and everything, like that's not a selling point for me.
I don't want
I
that.
don't want that in a Doom game. I really don't.
Yeah.
What is
100%
Doom got? How he's gonna be like, okay, like he's just gonna nod, like, ugh, like.
Yeah, but I mean, like, lots of games do that, and that's fine. But I don't know. That does not interest me. And
It was jarring going from Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal and just seeing him in cutscenes and him just like standing
Correct.
there and you could see his eyes behind the visor. I'm like, this is weird.
Correct.
So we'll see.
Correct.
I don't know.
So, yeah. Sorry, Luce, go on.
No, I can acknowledge that Doom was a great game. I enjoyed 2016. I fell off Eternal so hard.
I get that.
And I'm really intrigued by the premise of Dark Ages, but it's just not doing it for me then. I think this, yeah. But I'll reserve judgment until I play it.
Sure. I will say, though, I really appreciate that they're being very inventive, right?
Yes.
They're not resting on their laurels.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we've done a very kind of like straight-laced gameplay model. Then we took it to a whole new level, and it's more like a character action game, which is fucking wild. And now we're going to switch it completely again, and we're going to make it slower and more methodical and see how that works. And so I really respect that they're going in very different directions and, you know, not resting on their laurels, not being lazy. They're trying things. And some of those things we're going to like, and some of them we'll dislike, you know?
Yeah.
Remain extremely disappointed that Mick Gordon is not involved.
Yeah.
Has he said anything? Did he post anything?
He's not said anything that I've seen. So I think he's just trying to move past it, which I can totally understand. But I just think it's a real shame that was sort of left on red, so to speak, if you know what I mean. And that you know, the studio never really, and Bethesda and Microsoft never really squared out with him, because I think, you know, what he said deserves a response.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a real bummer. So yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
it is.
I'm definitely going to continue to follow Mick Gordon's work and like support what he's doing. And, you know, he's doing other things
He's
now, which
still
is great.
crushing in everything he shows
Still
up
crushing
in.
it.
Yeah.
He's still a fucking extremely talented dude. So it's good to know that he's still having a good career.
Well, there was also a bunch of other Xbox news from the week. Phil spoke on a couple of podcasts. He spoke on Destin Legary's podcast and also Gamertag Radio. And yeah, looks like the publishing strategy is a changing, and they're committed to it. I mean, are we surprised at this
Right.
point? No.
I mean, that's been like 2 years now we've been
Yeah.
saying this, right? It's like,
Yeah.
that's a lie, actually. It was at the very start of last year that it was like, this is clearly happening.
But then
And
they didn't,
once
because at DICE, everyone thought
The
that's when
business update.
they were gonna drop it with that weird business update. And I remember being sat at a Starbucks with a bunch of developers, media, and PR. Like we were all just sit there watching the stream on our phones to see if they were gonna say anything, and then they didn't.
Yeah, it's still wishy-washy.
But now, like, yeah, he went out and said it. You know, our strategy is to allow our games to be available.
I mean, I have nothing to say on that because I've essentially been saying that is the case for the last, over a year. And I was just saying they have not been willing to say it, but it's true.
Yeah.
And so now he's finally saying what has been obvious forever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is, you know? But I think he also did leave a little headroom. Like, he's like, oh, not everything will be multi-platform. There'll be some things that are Xbox exclusive. That's what he said. And it's kind of like, okay,
All right.
I don't know. What are we talking about now? Like, which ones are
It's
they?
like just Halo or just Gears of War. I don't know.
No, I don't think that will be. I think they're the perfect example of stuff that will go multi-platform.
Yeah, so I don't get-
know, like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
what
what
if
is it
their
that,
catalog would be first
like,
part?
what's the case to keep, I don't know, Flight Sim exclusive? Didn't that get announced for PlayStation? Has that been announced for PlayStation yet? I feel like it has.
No, I don't think so.
Don't think
No, I don't
so.
think so either. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just, I
Forza?
don't know what the case is to say again.
Forza?
Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know.
I do feel like at this point, like now that all the dust has settled, I guess like, and they've acknowledged it. They've said it themselves. Like, they're behind in the whole console war thing. Like, we've known this for years now. So for them to pivot to being everywhere, like, all right, cool, whatever. I say that as somebody who, of course, plays on a bunch of platforms. My play has been fragmented. I haven't had like just gamer score or just trophies for years now. I've always just kind of, so I don't know. I guess if you're still just invested in the Xbox ecosystem, like, you hope hardware continues, and it seems like hardware is continuing. You know, for people who are fans of the boxes, so to speak. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, all right, whatever, cool.
I think it was important because he addressed as well that one of the main concerns that people have is that if the Xbox goes away, what happens to libraries? What happens to purchases? And he did come out and say that they have been paying attention to that. You know, they've shown their commitment with things like backwards compatibility and Play Anywhere and everything. So it's like, as long as that's front of mind.
I mean, it's just like them staying, it's like carving out their own unique little path in the world of games, right? If their thing is just on every single thing, I mean, that's how it's going to go. Like, people like with attention span and people being confused by purchasing hardware anyway. That's always been a thing. Like, people go to the store, they're confused about a Wii U or a Wii, or can the PlayStation 4 play PlayStation 4, all that shit. Like, this cuts out all of that. And it's just, here's a video game. My dad scrolled past Civ 7 on Netflix the other day.
What?
And I saw it and I was like, that's on TV? And my dad was like, what's that? And I was like, you're not ready for that.
Don't worry about that, Dad.
But your kids are going to love it.
Nice, man. Nice.
Very good. Very good.
Look, I mean, yeah, for me personally, like, I think in that interview with Destin, he's like, because Destin's like, why should we buy an Xbox? And he's like, well, and Phil's like, well, we want our hardware to be the differentiator and whatever. And it's like, but he didn't offer any kind of information on what that looks like, because the reality is that hardware is not a differentiator at this point. It's not a differentiator for like any vector, like, you know what I mean? Like, as in, look at mobile phones, like Samsung and Apple, they're both putting out very similar products, like, it's not like they have different things that they're doing. You look at like, computers, they're all built the same way. And obviously the hardware components are different between AMD and NVIDIA, but they're doing the same thing. Like, what is he imagining how is hardware going to be a differentiator for Microsoft? I just don't see what that actually means. His hardware can't be stronger because they're still bound by the same GPU and CPU that everybody else makes for them. They don't produce that shit themselves. So,
and then feature-wise too, it would be like, the devs aren't going to take advantage of these proprietary features.
Totally. You might add like a fucking nunchuck to it, but no one's going to use that in a third-party world. That's not what this is. So I don't believe. I'm sure maybe Phil has some things he's thinking about. I don't know what those things are. I don't see how hardware can be a differentiator for him at this point. I don't really see this as Microsoft announcing that they are doing multi-platform. Because, as I said, I think they made that announcement a year ago. That's the way I took it anyway. I really see this as them actually announcing that hardware just doesn't matter to them anymore, which is the exact opposite of what Phil says. But that's what I believe, because they're banking on a future where you just buy your games anywhere.
But they still got a cut.
And they get a cut. So hardware doesn't matter to them, and they say, okay, you might have a really powerful Xbox console. Cool. Well, PlayStation will just make one that's just as powerful. Or you might say, we'll do a handheld. It's like, well, okay, well, Nintendo exists and Sony can also just make a handheld, and you're also competing with the Steam Deck. And so what's the business model here? Like, unless it's being the exclusives are the linchpin that makes the hardware business work. And so if you abandon exclusives, you're actually abandoning hardware. That's what that actually is.
Well said.
And so, he may say Xbox's hardware is a differentiator. Totally disagree. Call of Duty is Microsoft's differentiator. Like, Game Pass is their differentiator. Azure Cloud is their differentiator.
They're putting WoW on Game Pass?
I heard that as well. Those are the differentiators. And for Phil to say otherwise, I don't know where he's coming from with that. I don't think that's true. So yeah, because Sony can't put out World of Warcraft and they can't put out Call of Duty, and the amount of the amount of IP that Xbox now has under its banner is massive. Just look at this most recent Direct. There's like 4 games, 3 of them are coming out in the next 3 months, and they all look like great games. And that's just the next few months, you know? Think about how much bigger it's going to get when all these studios get rolling. And I don't know, man. That's going to be tough for Sony to compete with that, I think. In their... What do I mean? I don't think they're really competing with each other at this point. So Microsoft is just running its own multi-platform race. Sony is still trying to make sure that they can sell boxes. And I personally believe in the value of the box. I really do. I think there's something in that. You know?
And Nintendo is just...
Well, that's it. We don't even talk about Nintendo.
Nintendo's in a corner
doing
just
this
dancing
thing
to its own little tune.
But that's like the whole thing with this, right? Like we talk so much about Sony and Xbox, but like... Nintendo crushed all of them this past generation on this little calculator hardware, you know? And that's
a graphing calculator. Let's, you know.
And I think that's the ultimate point, right? If you make a decent piece of hardware that plays exceptional games, that is how you win. And that is why Xbox has lost this last 2 generations, because they just didn't have those exceptional games. That's why Sony has done very well for itself, because it did have those games. And if Xbox can have exceptional games that are available on all platforms, they'll do really well as a multi-platform publisher and they'll make lots of money. But they're not going to sell Xbox hardware because I can play it on other platforms, you know? So, yeah.
Okay. Well, should we move on to the shit news?
Well, we'd probably intro it differently.
I mean, we were going to do a block where we were talking about Ubisoft as we all played.
Actually, no, wait, pause.
Wait.
While we're talking about platform stuff, let's talk quickly about what's happened with Sony.
Oh, okay. Breaking news for us on a Tuesday night.
This just happened. I'll read. It's from Variety, actually. And the headline is Hiroki Totoki named corporate CEO of Sony Corp, so that's all of Sony, and Hideaki Nishino elevated to solo CEO role at Sony Interactive Entertainment, which is the PlayStation part of Sony, basically. So this is interesting because, like, prior to this, Herman Hulst and Nishino were actually announced as co-leaders of PlayStation. And that was not positioned as a temporary placeholder thing. Okay,
I thought it was.
When they announced that, unless I missed it, I didn't see an announcement that it was temporary. I just saw it was announced. And usually if it is an interim posting, they make very clear that, like, it is an interim posting while we, you know, that's what the market typically expects. So they didn't do that. And now they've announced that the person that Holst was serving alongside has now been elevated to the boss man of Sony, and Herman Hulst will report to him. So hard to know exactly what this means, because in the world of like corporate stuff, things can mean different things, but it does seem as though, you know, Herman Hulst is one rung lower in the pegging order right now as a result of this shakeup. And if that's the case, like, you have to assume that part of that's to do with all this live service stuff that just completely blew up and cost Sony hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you know what I mean? Because all of that was being driven out of the Western part of the business. It wasn't being driven by Japan.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Again, it's all speculation. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm just looking up the original. Here we go. Hang on. June 3rd, 2024. So this is a joint blog post from Herman and Nishino.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't even that long ago. Wow.
That's right. It was really recent.
We take the helm. We will continue to collaborate closely. We believe it's never been more important for the leadership at SIE to step back, review our business holistically, and move forward with a new structure designed to bring out the best in the organization and deliver increasingly incredible experiences.
Yep.
I mean, I'm trying to read this as quickly as I can. Nothing in here says... here we go. Hang on. While having 2 CEOs as a new structure for SIE, we know this will foster greater creativity and innovation as we look for new ways to grow the business, always keeping our community at the forefront. 2 distinct business groups will enable us to have more rigor and clarity across our lines of business as SIE continues to grow and evolve, as we step into our new roles, blah, blah, blah. As we move forward, we plan to communicate with you.
Doesn't sound temporary.
This does not sound temporary,
That
and the
sounds like
fact
a
that this is
commitment.
done within 6-7 months...
Is it accountability?
Yeah, I mean,
is it corporate, accountability saying, hey, that was a bungle. Let's reorg.
I think I mean, we don't know, obviously. We're just speculating, right? But it does make sense that, Herman Hulst would have been instrumental in the live service push. And clearly, Sony has lost hundreds of millions of dollars on this. In between, obviously, there was Concord, but there was also a whole bunch of other projects that they would have poured millions of dollars into. There were studios that were just working on this shit. And basically, all of those projects have been canned. And so,
someone had to answer for it.
Someone had to answer for it. And
Jim Ryan's not around, so...
That's right, exactly right. And I wonder if he's not around because of this as well. I wonder if this is part of it, you know what I mean? Because he went really large on this.
Because when did he when did he leave Guerrilla to go to PlayStation Studios?
That was a handful of years
That was a
ago.
while. That was a while ago. Yeah, it was a while ago. So I don't know, man. I just think, like you've got to. There's also the report recently from like Jeff Grubb because they've cancelled. I'm so devastated, guys. We could have had a live service God of War game made by Bluepoint, and now we won't have it. I'm so sad, I'm so sad.
That's sarcasm for
Fucking
people.
hell.
When you have a large audience base, sometimes there's a lot of people that just
You really
statistically
have to
don't
make sure
detect
that you're
stop
making-
sarcasm.
Really, I cannot imagine anything more stupid than the idea of like a live service God of War game made by Bluepoint. Of all studios. Like, just Bluepoint is the studio that like remade like Demon Souls, and before that, remastered Shadow of the Colossus. And what was the other one they did?
They did a Metal Gear Solid
now.
collection, did they? No.
No,
No.
Demon Souls.
They did
Demon Souls was the one they remade.
Yeah.
They remastered that one. What was the other one? It doesn't matter.
Damn. Yeah.
Point is, that is not the studio that you get to make a live service God of War game.
No.
That
It
is
was
insane.
the God of War collections.
Okay.
Oh, no, they did. Hang on. The studio also handled the remastered HD versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance and Metal Gear Solid 3
that's right. Okay.
Substance.
Okay.
I thought you meant
You're right.
like a
Oh, no.
because there was a rumor that they
There
were
was
doing
always
a
the
Metal Gear
rumor they were gonna do.
There was
That's
always,
right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
even to that point, there was like when there was rumors that they were making their own thing, people were excited about that because Bluepoint
Absolutely.
has at this point like cut their teeth and proven they do cool shit. So people were excited if they were to make their own thing, but just not this. Also,
it's crazy.
It would have to have been like a live service God of War game. Let's workshop this for a second.
Okay, all right.
It would be way better based on like the older ones, right? Because there's more cool shit to
You're
do.
just killing shit and like, as
It's like a
opposed to,
Diablo,
all
like
the-
you're just like hacking through mobs,
exactly.
yeah.
Correct. So I don't know that that was cancelled. There was also a live service project at Ben's studio. Ben is the studio that did Days Gone, and before that they were like back in the day they worked on Siphon Filter and stuff. So
Which is the one who did the handheld, the Vita Uncharted
Yes, they did,
game.
yeah.
That
Golden
was,
Abyss,
yeah.
Yeah, so obviously huge amounts of cancellations of live service projects. Sony and Jeff Grubb is reporting that the cancellation of these is a direct result of the failure of Concord, which is that like now internal to Sony, you've just got so much scrutiny on your live service project, and it's going to be really tough to get it out the door unless there's a really good business case for it. Remember that Fair Games game with the $sign? Is that what it's called? Fair
Fair
Games?
The Jade Raymond one?
Yeah.
Yep, Fair Games with the $sign, baby.
That's
I
still
mean,
a thing.
well, how much of this has been put on Concord and not on the however many years Naughty Dog also spent developing and then cancelling Factions? Because that's also
again,
a decent chunk of change.
That was that was also the only one I wanted. I would play the shit out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be both,
Yeah.
surely. It's got to be both. But I think Concord is just so massive a failure, so public a spectacle, that it really just would shake your company to its foundations. And it makes sense that the people responsible for it would have to face some repercussions, So...
Don't worry, we're getting... What's the Horizon?
Right, the Horizon.
One of them
Horizon
got
MMO?
cancelled, like the MMO.
No, that was...
the
no,
MMO
that was
one?
bad...
Was it
badly
bad
reported.
reporting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad reporting. So there is apparently an MMO still in the works, a Horizon MMO. And also, and that's separate from the one that's being... the live service Horizon game being developed at Guerrilla.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, there's two
Yeah.
of them?
There's
Yes.
two of them. There's an MMO, and then there's also like what we think it's rumored to be like a Monster Hunter style.
That's insane. Yeah, the one we've
which I
seen
think is a
leaked footage of, yeah.
Great idea for that.
That's
Love
fine,
that,
yeah,
right?
that's fine.
And look, to be perfectly honest, I can kind of see a Horizon survival MMO thing. I can kind of see that being interesting. you know, because again, you're like having to collect parts off the dinosaurs to build yourself a little house and shit. Like, I don't know, that actually sounds kind of fun to me. I can see it.
You know what the world should have been built out to a big franchise? The Order 1886. I'm seething
God.
over here. I'm pissed, man.
Jesus
Come on, we
Christ.
could have had a
You order people.
we could have had
What's
an Order
with you?
1886 co-op like Monster Hunter style game where you do it with werewolves and cool
God.
weird weapons, and then we could have had a Order 1886 MMO where you fight like you're in the Order, and it would be so cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The whole thing also reeks of the Horizon stuff. Who likes that franchise that much?
Ralph.
Other than Herman.
Listen, this is what I always say. I like it, but I don't think you need to make 2 live service games based on it.
But I
okay?
mean, how did the Lego game do?
I don't know. I've never heard a single peep about it.
Yeah, me
I
either.
played that game. I didn't think it was very good. I didn't like that game at all. I think also, like, didn't, like, Shuhei do an interview was kind of funny where he was talking about, like, Horizon Forbidden West not doing very well? Didn't I see that?
Did he say that?
I feel like
I don't know. I think he said that, but I swear I'm not imagining this. I swear, like, there was some chatter about Horizon Forbidden West.
he said he was
yeah.
surprised by the success. I was hoping that the sequel would do even better.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
So to me, that actually makes a lot of sense because there's just something missing at the core of this franchise that gets people like really on board with it, and it sells a lot of copies. Don't get me wrong, but it's just there's just something missing there, man. There's like that thing. It's like who wants to get a Horizon tattoo? Not many people.
Handguns. It needs handguns. That'd be cool.
God, here we go.
Here he
Fucking
is.
America.
Here he
Just
is.
saying, like,
He's back. He's
American
literally-
logs on.
So look, I think it's good that Sony are clearly course correcting on this because you know they made all these massive bets and it's okay to make some bets, I think, but they had 12 live service projects. From the very minute that I heard that number, I'm like, that is
That's
going to
too
end
many.
in disaster. That is a dumb idea. And sure enough, where are we now? Like that was 2 years ago. I was talking about that. Or everyone was talking about that. I wasn't the only person saying it. Sure enough, 2 years later, like it just has ended in disaster for Sony. Like there's only so much room in the market for live service games. We are already playing enough games of that type. It's just like that's not what Sony should be making. Like sure, throw some irons in the fire, get some ideas going, but don't bet the house on it. Do you know what I mean? Like just chill out, you know?
Well, see how
So-
Marathon does.
Oh, please.
Sorry.
Don't- Yeah.
Twist the knife. But also, you know,
I'm so worried about that one.
there's making bets and then there's the livelihoods of thousands of people at your company at stake.
Totally. Totally agree.
yeah.
Totally agree.
That is probably the segue to talk about Ubisoft.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys all played Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you do an impressions video, Jake? I saw you fire off a tweet.
Yeah, I fired off a tweet. I mentioned it in a couple of videos as like a small segment.
All right. So tell me, what did you think of Assassin's Creed Shadows?
I'm pretty harsh on it. I need to, see more of it. Like obviously it's just impressions, but I didn't walk away from the preview like, ooh, I want to play more, or like even seeing where the blanks still need to be filled in for me. The story didn't really grip me. The gameplay didn't really grip me. The only thing that really did was like the world was cool. And I like that they actually kind of committed to the characters feeling completely distinct. It was nice to mess around with, but then that kind of creates its own problems, which I feel like you've talked about a little bit, where like I just want to play as an assassin. Like I just want to play as Naue. I just want to climb up buildings and assassinate people and do that whole thing. But then the problem is when I'm doing that, at this point, like the game, and I had some abilities unlocked and I had like a tool set. It just felt very simple. It just felt very like, I'm like, okay, by the numbers, I know what I'm doing. And I don't think it's because I've played a bunch of Assassin's Creed games and I'm cynical. I think it just felt flat gameplay wise. Like it felt like it didn't have enough. The enemies didn't really engage me. The layout of the encounters, except for that one main last quest,
The
like,
mission,
yeah, like none of them really gripped me. But then, it's so hard to not compare to Ghost of Tsushima. I try not to.
For sure.
They're different things. They're trying different things. But even like the world and like embracing the Japan setting and embracing the history and just embracing like what Japanese people did at that time feels kind of like a weaker version of that. Like, did you do a lot of the like?
How do you mean?
Did you do a lot of the objectives where you can like walk around and like paint pictures of the animals?
I know what you mean.
And I was like,
well,
Didn't know that.
every
Sure.
single side mission was not. You weren't able to complete it because it was in an area outside the preview area.
Right.
At least in the
But
bit
I
that
think
I
you talk
played.
about the side activities.
Little
But yeah, no,
activities,
like
yeah.
anytime I try to do anything else, like the side activities, observing animals.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
painting an animal or
Yeah.
something. Like, yeah,
I think they're like just on a positive side at the very least. Like, I thought it was like surprisingly gory. I think it was gorier than like the last. I was like,
Sure.
holy
Well, it's not
shit.
going to be in Japan. Do you hear that?
Has
Oh,
it
they're
been,
like,
yeah, been censored, right?
Yeah.
What is that? Is it the gore that's been
It's
censored?
it's chopping off of limbs.
The limb, the dismemberment.
Yes,
Interesting.
That's the coolest
interesting.
part.
Okay. Wow.
Damn.
Japan is pretty okay with that usually, right? Like Japanese games are pretty gory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's odd. It's very odd. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I like the gore, and I also liked, as Nawe, like I like the grappling hook, and like being able to like use it to just go up to a ceiling and just kind of like Spider-Man hide up there.
Sure.
Like there's
sure.
definitely some opportunity for high level play getting kind of crazy. I wasn't able to see that in 4 hours. So yeah, for me the jury's still out preview wise. I've also been really harsh on Assassin's Creed for a while now. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
acknowledge that like the newer games aren't really for me as an older fan, but the new ones are extremely popular. They've sold a lot. So like even going with that and like, oh, okay, it's not trying to be Ezio. Like I got to look at it just as Odyssey, Origins, Valhalla. Like even as one of those, it didn't quite grip me as much.
No. I am in the same boat as you. I had a lot of issues. So played a lot of Assassin's Creed. I think Syndicate ranks as one of my favorites because they did the dual protagonist thing where you had Jacob Fry, who would be more of the brawler, and then you had Evie, who would be more of the stealth. However, if you did
Did you
get
like that
into
one because
combat-
they talk like you? They're all like, it's like, oh,
Oh,
we're like
white
Lucy.
mate, but if you were in an encounter with either one of them, you felt very capable, and you felt like you weren't going to really struggle. Whereas I felt the balance of this one was so off. I hated playing as Naue because if you
Really? Interesting.
well, so I also this is a complaint, and this is the thing where I fed this back to them because I felt like they should not have done this remotely because they were beaming a 1080p version of the game to me
Sure.
that I was playing on a 4K TV.
Yeah.
And there was a section where I'm walking in the dark and I couldn't see shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not the best way of experiencing this game for me as someone, who's getting impressions together and stuff. But I'm also very acutely aware that that is not indicative of the final experience.
Yeah.
So I'm taking that part out of kind of how I felt about the game. But I felt that Naue was just a little too... I don't know. It felt like stuff would get a bit hairy too quickly for my liking. Whereas Yasuke, the complete opposite. Like, I would go in and just bonk someone on the head with a giant stick, and I would just do that. Like, I wouldn't even bother trying to hide. I would just walk in, kick down the front door and just hit everyone, and I would be completely fine.
Yes.
So for me, there wasn't a nice middle ground of the assassin that I like to play as, which is one that can defend itself and stuff. And I'm also in the same mind as Jake, where I think these games are putting way too much into them. And I think the reason I liked Ghost of Tsushima so much when it came out, because I platinumed that game, is that it was an exercise in restraint. Like, yes, it's an open world game. Yes, there are activities and stuff, but it was all doable. And it was kind of a mastery of the different stances and stuff. It didn't give you too much to kind of get to mess around with. And I really enjoyed that because I felt like I was good at the game because I knew exactly what I had. I knew exactly which stances I had. I knew exactly which moves to do. Whereas in Assassin's Creed, and again, this is like, even when I was playing Valhalla and stuff, when you get more, what do you call it, like equipment, and you're getting different things, and I'm like, I can't be asked, like flicking through all this. Like, it just feels like a barrier for me, because I remember playing OG Assassin's Creed where all you really had was a hidden blade and social stealth, and it was very, very pared back, and I kind of miss those days. And I think as soon as they started putting in like bomb crafting, was that in Revelations and stuff, and I was just like, I'm just not interested in that. I did like the fact that you could call in sort of, they had that sort of brotherhood kind of thing where you had your
someone come in from a bush and stab someone for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I did like that, and I do think the world was very beautiful, but again, I just took one look at it and I was like, this is big, and it's gonna really need a really strong story to pull me through this. And at the beginning, it's not really what I experienced. I don't know. I don't know. It just isn't doing it really for me. Like, I will play it. I will definitely give it a better, like 20 hours or something, like, to see if it, maybe because obviously they do like a time skip in the preview to get you to an area where you're more kitted out, and so maybe there's some really good story stuff in there that I'm going to be really intrigued by. But I found myself, like, if I knew I was going into a combat situation, I would just switch. I would be Norway walking around, and then I would switch just to get through the combat.
Just to bonk people.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that, like, all three of us are just not really into this.
Yeah.
That's kind of unusual for us, I think, especially for a game like this. It's not like offensively bad. It's just also not great, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just, there's just this kind of meh vibe that comes out of it. I think someone else was talking about, like, Ghost of Tsushima, and obviously the comparisons are going to come. And we haven't played this whole thing, so we can't compare it to Ghost of Tsushima, but it's clear that Ghost of Tsushima was doing the Ubisoft thing better than Ubisoft was in Valhalla and I think in other games, right? So I guess my question is that, like, how did Sucker Punch manage to do that better? Why did that Ghost of Tsushima work so well? And what are we not seeing in Shadows so far that makes us think, oh yeah, they're on the right track?
I think Ghost of Tsushima was able to come with no baggage. It wasn't trying to hit hallmarks of another franchise, hallmarks of another publisher with, like, what they specialize in terms of at least gameplay and open world design. And then I think also Ghost of Tsushima had a lot of really good open world activities that at first, when you look, it's like, oh, they just put a bunch of things on a map. But as you do them, you feel like you really want to get them because they're nice, they're interesting, and they tie back in really nice to the progression and the main gameplay loop. And they all kind of fit in the world, and it, like, made sense in Jin Sakai's adventure. Does that make,
I think you hit the nail on the head with regard to baggage. I think playing early Assassin's Creed games, I think the Animus is such a cool narrative. Oh, hi, Jelly. Such a cool narrative thing to tie everything together. But the first Civilization stuff and everything, I would say, from Black Flag onwards has just been so convoluted and just so, like, I would get annoyed in the more recent ones if they would pull you out of the Animus to do the modern day stuff, because I was like, I just don't care. I don't care. But for Assassin's Creed, it gave them a vehicle to do things like the history tour, which I think is a really cool use of all the research that they've done. I think it's a really cool way to introduce history to people. And I think with Ghost just being laser focused on telling Jin's story and the story of Tsushima and the Mongols, like, it just felt like a purer experience in a way. And also, once you see the Assassin's Creed formula, I think this is also a case of us growing up and aging with Assassin's Creed. It's like Bond. It's, the Bond from your childhood is your Bond, right? Yep. The Assassin's Creed that you grew up with is kind of your Assassin's Creed. So I'm like a 2 Brotherhood. Though that was my absolute favorite peak Assassin's Creed for me. And every time the franchise has gotten a bit bigger and stuff, it's like I found things to like about it. Like,
but it's just not the same.
Like Pierce Brosnan, GoldenEye. That's my Bond.
Yeah, when he drove a tank through a fucking wall, they've never done that again. You'll never top that.
Invincible.
That was cinema.
Peak cinema.
I-
But that's just not how I feel about it, because I'm also at a point in my life where I just don't have enough time, and the games just keep getting bigger, and I feel like old woman yells
No,
at
it's valid.
cloud. But
we also don't know how big it's going to be.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm not, you know what I mean? I do think you touched on something very, that I totally agree with in relation to purity. And I think what made Ghost of Tsushima feel great was that it did feel quite pure in that it did have, you know, it will guide you where to go with the wind, for example. Like that is what you did. That was a cool thing, and a bird would swoop in over your head to like guide you to a location, or the little fox that you had to follow, or whatever it was.
and
right?
it was
I
a
think the fox.
fun
Yeah,
gimmick. That not
It was- yeah, but, like,
overplayed,
it
but it was a nice thematic gimmick, which I like.
Correct. It was like how do we accomplish the same objective, but do so in a way that feels more organic and immersive for that setting? And I think for that reason, it felt you were doing the same Ubisoft thing that you were always doing, but it felt fresh. It felt interesting, and it felt like more immersive in a way that, and I never felt that in Shadows. You know, they say it's like a less map marker driven game. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I was still following map markers in Shadows when I was playing.
Yeah,
it,
what are you on
right?
about? When you're like, I mean, it even did line on ground.
I know that 100%.
A
But
A very unsubtle
literally-
line, yeah.
There was literally an article that did the headline that ran like maybe last week talking about Ubisoft saying that this is a less map marker driven game. And it's like,
Look, they've done this before. Like
whatever.
we've fallen for this before. When Far Cry, the one in America, Far Cry 5,
5, yeah.
when 5 dropped, they had tried to really retool exploration and how you discovered things on the map. And it felt novel at first, but ultimately it still kind of was just like a different, what's the phrase? Like you put lipstick on a pig. It's like a different, I don't know. It
It's
was
different colored M&Ms.
yeah,
Different colored M&Ms.
like
yeah.
exactly. So I kind of was getting the same feeling here when like I got to see
agree.
how exploration works, and it's like, oh, open the map and then click on a thing to send scouts out, and it's like an expendable resource.
Oh, that pissed me off so much.
And then it just reveals icons on the map, and then you're like, oh,
like,
okay,
yeah.
fuck
But
me, I guess.
But also like they like revamped stealth, and they showed like new animations, and I'm like, okay, that's nice, but I don't really give a fuck about animations.
You're still
You know what
hiding.
I mean? Like,
You're still hiding in a
Like,
bush, or
still
But
hiding
now
in a
you
bush
can
and
lie
whistling.
down in the bush.
okay, and
Which is cool.
and look again, that's cool, but at the same time, it just feels like, I don't know, man. It seems like such a minor thing that we're celebrating the fact that you can finally crouch down after 25 years of video games. Do you know what I mean? Like that. So again, no shade to them. There also is the light ability to like turn off lights, and yeah, but that didn't really make itself
felt no
very felt.
I
emphasis.
used
It
that
felt
once
yeah.
by accident.
gimmicky. Totally, you don't really need it, and so I just think. So yeah, I think the point about Ghost of Tsushima, yeah, I agree. It's more pure and it feels more immersive, and because it's doing the same sort of things, but it's really going the extra mile in terms of how do we dress this up and make it feel like it's not actually that thing, even though it totally is that thing, right? But then there's also just the straight up combat, and the combat in Ghost of Tsushima, very good. It's great combat. It feels fantastic. It's got it's got like some weight to it. It has a skill cap. It's simple. It is rock paper scissors, but it really feels great. Whereas this combat feels terrible. And I don't like it, and it's a modern Assassin's Creed combat. It's never felt good.
It's hacky.
Always just
It's
kind
very-
of it's hacky, totally.
it's interesting. Like if we are doing the comparison game, it's absolutely like a feedback tangibility thing where
Absolutely.
I've seen some content creators capture gameplay footage for Shadows and try and make the combat look cool, where the character just stands there and perfectly combos and perfectly parries and strikes an enemy down in one hit. But it doesn't have that same cling clang, like feedback response, camera control, emphasis on that. Like it doesn't have any of that, and it doesn't necessarily have to. But it's when you're looking at all these things and then you're like, wait a minute, you can't help it.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah, so I feel, I mean, and obviously we keep saying this as a disclaimer, and we do, and I know we all mean it, which is that you can't fully judge a game based on 5 hours of play.
Yep.
Okay, and absolutely we'll play through the whole thing and we'll come to our own conclusions, but at the same time we have played a lot of Ubisoft games over our life. We have played a lot of Assassin's Creed. I put hundreds of hours into the series, so you know what this thing is when you pick it up, and you can immediately sense the major differences because we know this series really well. And right now a lot of it is very familiar. and where it's not familiar, the whole splitting out of Yasuke and Nawe, where he can't really parkour or stealth and she can. I don't think that's a good idea.
No,
I don't want an
like
Assassin's Creed protagonist who can't climb a tower. That's not what I asked for.
Oh, did you jump into? Did you do any dives?
I tried to do one dive.
I did
He
one.
falls.
I was.
He
Say
there's
again?
an animation for him landing, and he's like, oh, and he like,
No way.
yeah, and he like
Nathan-
lands on his
do
Nathan
that.
Drake's.
yeah, and he
That's so
stumbles
funny.
out of the hay, and he's like, oh man.
That's actually pretty funny. But I tried to do a dive off the top of a tower. It turns out I couldn't dive off the top of the tower. I had to like lower myself
I did the
down
same
a few
thing.
levels before I could find the stick that lets me do the jump. And I'm like, that's again not what this is supposed to be. Like, we're just meant to get to the top and then leap off.
Yeah.
That's the anyway. My point is, yeah, it's not. I think Ubisoft as a company is in a lot of trouble.
Oh god, yeah.
We all know that. That's not a surprise. They've only just recently announced the closure of a UK-based studio, and 180 people were let go. Tencent is circling to buy them, and the Gilmore family seem really keen on that idea, so long as they can maintain control of the company somehow. And it's very clear that it's not going to be a good year for Ubisoft, even if Shadows goes well. I think that's where things are. But I think at a fundamental game design level, like we've been talking about the necessity for Ubisoft to evolve its core franchises for a long fucking time now. Like we have. Like I just feel like I feel like the entire time that I've been on YouTube, I've been complaining about how bad Ubisoft's writing is. That has never changed in like a decade. You know what I mean? And it's like, when is that going to change? Because I certainly saw no evidence of that changing here in this game. You know what I mean? I think Outlaws had some surprisingly good writing when it was allowed to, but the structure of that game often meant that it couldn't have good writing because it had to assemble all of its stories in a random order, which is exactly the same thing that crippled Mirage, where this game structure wouldn't let you tell a cohesive story, and so it all had to be fragmented and, frankly, bad. So Ubisoft just like needs a top to bottom reset, and I'm really hoping that like Assassin's Creed Hex or whatever it is that Clint Hocking, is he still on it? Clint Hocking?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I hope that whatever he's doing is just like ripping out every foundational element of this series and going like, okay, let's start again. Same with Far Cry. I don't know what they're doing
Here's
with that
my
right
pitch.
now, but I hope.
Oh,
Go on.
No crouch button. Back to just being a guy walking around.
Sure.
No crouching. I'm talking. We're back to AC1, AC2.
That's right, exactly.
That's
Also
That's a
no
bold
attack
move.
button. No attack button, just a parry button. You know?
That's it.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
That's
one
all
hit,
it is.
cool kill animations,
Yeah,
and we're good.
yeah.
Throwing coins on the ground.
Yep, that's right.
Paying
All that
paying a
Having an
bunch of
arm.
women to walk around me.
Pushing people like this, the physics.
Oh,
arm,
yeah, I missed that.
Ubisoft, I just think, really needs a big shake-up in its core game design. Obviously, the company's going to go through some challenges this year, and I hope that it's the impact on staff is as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
But I suspect it won't be. I also hope that it becomes an opportunity for Ubisoft to like really do some root and branch redesign of its core franchises and its approach to game making, because I think that they have spent 2 generations making games the same way and it's landed them here, and it needs to change because obviously that is why they are in the position they are in right now.
And they have killer IP. They have stuff that people want more of.
Man.
They have stuff that
Yeah.
people want to be good. I want Shadows to be good. I want I want to see the return of the Rabbids, the minions of the video game world. Like they have all this stuff.
No, delete them. Delete them. No rabbits, please.
Yeah, no.
No rabbits. Rayman, yes. Rabbids, no.
Are they perverts? Like what are their what's their thing? What are
They've
they?
got a vibe.
Yeah.
They've
They have an
definitely got that
atrocious
vibe.
vibe.
They're on some lists for sure. Absolutely. So, anyway, that's Assassin's Creed. I think we've
That's
talked it to
Assassin's
death.
Creed.
Nothing else we can say until the reviews hit, which is going to be in March.
Yeah, end of the month.
I wonder if they're going to delay the game. Because I
Again.
think there
No,
was a
they
lot-
can't do
No,
it again.
I
man.
wonder because
There's
I think
no
there was a
way.
lot of. I think there was a lot of mixed feedback in this preview cycle. There was a lot of positivity, sure, but there was also a lot of stuff. And I do think that Ubisoft really need this one to just like be an absolute haymaker. And if they can maybe make some gains in some areas inside of 3 months, maybe they'd think about it. I'll put it that way, right? I don't have any inside information, by the way. No one ever fucking tells me anything. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is that, like, I do wonder because, as I said, Ubisoft really need this one to work. And if they've already delayed it a little bit, why does it need to go out in March? It could also go out in August. That would be fine as well.
Is it a financial year thing?
I think they've already ticked over into the new financial year in March. So I think that is another reason why
Isn't
they could
it March
delay it.
31st, April 1st?
I remember hearing that their financial year ends end of February, but I could be wrong about that.
It depends. I assume is it Paris or is it Canada?
I don't know. So, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Always want to be proven wrong.
Totally.
Same.
Totally agree. Totally.
10 hours, it might be awesome. 20 hours, it might get really cool. We'll see.
Like a JRPG, man.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Get through that first 20 hours, and then it's
just
good.
Get to the open world part. Yeah, finally.
That's how it goes.
Fucking Final Fantasy 13. I will never forgive them for that.
Speaking of financial years, I don't know how to segue into this. We'll be back with user questions and Leah from Bigmode after a word from our sponsor. Power on
they don't.
ANC
See, I told you.
mode on. Yeah,
Correct.
They don't do it anymore.
See, they used to do the Sega. The old models used to do the Raycon, like a Sega intro, but now they don't.
Bring it back, guys.
Because in case you don't know, this video sponsor, Raycon, has updated their flagship line of everyday earbuds, and the new versions are better and cooler, and you should check them out if you haven't. Tell them, Jake.
There's a bunch of stuff. Active noise cancellation. The 32-hour battery life is really good, but also multi-point connectivity now.
Yes.
Basically, you get all the features you want from like a high-end earbud, but you're not paying the name brand price. You're not giving up like an arm and a leg to get these features. And especially active noise cancellation, that's like a top-of-the-line thing. It's very useful, for annoying sounds in the world, or, if you're on an airplane.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of, if you're about to go on an airplane and you realize, I haven't charged my Raycon, 10-minute charge gives you like 90 minutes.
Totally.
Of listening.
Yeah, for sure. I have multiple pairs of Raycons because I keep them in different places in case I leave my earbuds at home or something. So I have like one for my gym bag and one next to my bedside, so I don't have to fuck around and whatever else. So it's very convenient. I've also bought plenty of them as gifts because they're reasonably priced. They're fantastic gifts. Especially for like the older people in your life who don't have earbuds. Simple. And they're like, what? What's this?
Yeah.
And then when you exactly right. And when you give like, your mother-in-law a pair of earbuds when she's been listening to her shows on her phone, max volume as she's doing, like, that will change her world. I'm not even joking.
What
by the
is
way,
she
that's
listening
exactly what I
to?
did.
Does she
Oh
need-
man, all sorts
Don't
of
get me started.
all sorts of weird Facebook news that I'm very glad I don't have to
Akatar.
listen to anymore. Let's put it that way.
No, I got a pair for my dad like a year ago because they're like simple and dependable, like no fuss.
Absolutely.
And he still raves about them. He's like, these are good headphones. Like, these things, those things you got me. And I'm like, all right, yeah, dad. But like, yeah,
That's
they
such a
are
good dad gift.
legit.
My dad loves like tech and he loves reading up on stuff, and so I got him a pair and he's like, oh yeah, I'm wireless. Anyway.
That's it. But whether it's for yourself or someone else, they're a great purchase. And as I said, very, very well priced for what they can provide, especially after the update. If you want to get some for yourself, you can visit buyraycon.com/friends to get up to 20% off site-wide. That's 20% off everything on Raycon's site, including earbuds, of course, when you go to raycon.com/friends. buyraycon.com/friends. Thank you very much to Raycon for sponsoring the video. And we're back.
Ready, Freddy.
And we're back. No, I was trying so hard not to say it.
Let's go.
Anyway, thank you to everyone. So we last episode asked all of our fine users for questions, as we always do. You can either email them, contact@friendspersecond.com, send them, comment them in the Substack, which is friendspersecond.substack.com. But we also asked this time for people to send MP3s, of which many of you obliged, and it's
You
been
sickos.
Wow, thank you.
Just jumping right in.
and it's
Love
been very
it.
nice. So we have to figure out a way to do this more easily. But if boys, if you wouldn't mind clicking on.
If we just, I'll count it down, Jake, and we click at the same
We'll
time.
say 1, 2,
and
3
then,
play or something.
And then Stu for the edit and then for the edit, you'll be able to start playing it as well. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. It's taking a while to load.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Brad.
And hello, I'm Jake.
And we're half of the Gaming Garnish podcast from the north of England. We love everything you do, and you really inspired us to get this going.
Aw.
We have a section on our podcast called Buried by Backlog, where we each alternate
same.
choosing a game from our respective backlogs for us all to play and then inevitably discuss on the podcast.
We were wondering, if each of you were to pick a game from your backlogs for the Friends Per Second guys to play, what would it be and why?
Really look forward to hearing your thoughts. And thanks again, guys. Bye.
That's a good question.
First of all,
They're
can I
nice.
just say, it is unbelievably biased of you to select the north of England
That's
for
where
the
you're
very
from.
first dial-in.
Come on.
This is bullshit. Okay? Absolute bullshit.
They're not
So-
they're not northeasty, like not as
Right.
northeast as me. I think that was more
They
like
say discourse.
Discourse,
That's what they said,
actually,
right?
yeah, that
So,
makes-
you know,
that's
that's,
northern.
you know.
No, I just liked it was a really nice question because it's
was a
we
good
always get
question.
asked about, you know, our own individual backlogs, but what's a backlog
Mm.
for the others?
So that is it like from our own backlog that we say you must play?
Well, I know exactly what
like-
you're going to give me.
Yeah, of course I am. Exactly right. You know, but that's not on my backlog.
Yeah,
so.
I never played it either. So
Yeah, well, that's it then.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay, well-
that's it.
The answer,
Well,
if you're a
obviously,
new
I'm gonna
listener,
say
is out of
The answer to the new chat is Outer Wilds,
Yeah.
which everyone needs to play,
Yeah.
and that's obviously what I would say.
Yeah.
But if I had a game on my own backlog,
Mhm.
because I don't know what on everything is on your backlog, that's hard to answer. But on my own backlog, that I would really want you guys to play.
hmm.
I'm literally opening up
Mm.
Steam.
Yeah, what
I
do
actually
have?
have like my own like pile of shame backlog thing that I need to like find out and go through it. Oh, actually, you know what it is?
Mm.
I'd say, but it's one I could say for Jake because
Mm-hmm.
you've already done it. But I reckon I would want Jake to play all of the Yakuza games because I actually
Jake,
think
yes.
Jake would super love them as well.
Oh
Jake-
yeah,
Just
Jake
like
would have
I'm
the
really-
biggest
So I
crush
love
on
some of them.
Kiryu.
yeah.
like-
Yeah, you
He would just be
You
his-
would.
I no, I
idol.
love him so much. No, I love Zero, and I
Okay.
played 1, and then I played like some of 2, some of 6, and that's it. So where
Okay.
should I just keep going? Like where?
Yeah. I want you to play all of them because I haven't played any of them.
Oh,
So
Okay.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I want
Yeah,
my
yeah, that's
backlog
right. That's
is to
the-
play all of the Yakuza games, and then I would want you to do the same. But obviously, Lucy's already.
thank
all
you.
caught up
If
on
only you
that,
could give me
so,
the
yeah.
time.
That's right. 600 hours is
Yeah.
what I'd say for the whole series.
What I have
including
played, I
the
have
2 new
already been
ones.
like, this is some of the greatest shit ever. Zero is incredible. I tell
Zero.
everybody to play Zero,
I
but I
am
need more.
really sad that the Amazon show was apparently not good. I heard a lot of things about it and people just thought it sucked. So I was just like, I'm just gonna save myself the heartache.
Yeah.
But I did interview the 2 leads and they were really nice and they were so excited
That's
to be in a Yakuza show. But I remember asking them stuff like, oh, is there gonna be a Friday night reference? And they had no idea what I was talking about. Like all the
I don't-
big
is that-
all the big
is that-
memes.
What's the Friday? I don't know. What's the Friday night reference? Is it the song?
Yeah.
Okay, the song. Sure. Yeah. That's a bummer.
Yeah. Bakamatai too. Yeah. Anyway. Game from my backlog. I mean, damn it, Outer Wilds would be mine for Jake, because I also haven't played that. What is on my backlog? I don't have Steam on this PC. This laptop even is new, because I'm still in my unpacking phase.
Right.
The only thing that comes to mind for me that I know you guys maybe haven't played. So for me on my backlog is the Alan Wake 2 DLC.
Yes!
I know you guys are both
Oh,
Alan
I
Wake
haven't played it.
enjoyers. Yeah.
I am playing through that. I actually played through half of that in the holidays.
Shit.
And I loved it. I haven't done
okay.
the Lake House yet, but I did the other ones.
Okay.
And I loved it. It's so good.
I got a collector's edition. And it's expect that to go up there because it's the
I did not get a collector's edition. I'm devastated,
The
but I
hell?
did get the thermos mug.
I mean,
thing.
honestly, the thermos is the
that's the money shot. Right
I get a
there.
surprising amount of comments being like, is that the Over Your Diner thing? And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're goddamn
It is.
right.
Where's mine? Mine's up there, which you can't. You can just see the bottom of it actually.
yeah.
But yeah, it's actually like there. That's the bottom
Nice.
Of it. So yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good choice though. That's a
That's a
very
really
good choice,
good
and that's
one.
exactly what I played over my
Thank you.
holidays because I was like, I need to have this Alan Wake DLC down. I can't not do it.
It's a good question though. It's a
I will
stomper.
tell you a game that is in my backlog that I am desperate to play, which is 1,000 Times Resist. 1,000
Oh, yeah, sure.
Exorcist.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I'm afraid it'll give me a real existential spiral. And I'm not mentally...
More so than now? More so than
Exactly, I'm
that's
not
right.
mentally there.
You know what's on my backlog? It's
yeah.
been on my backlog literally since it's existed, and I'll give it to you guys. I've been wanting to play it. It's the mod for Max Payne 1 that lets Max Payne do like backflips, and it's like the Matrix mod where like backflips and
right.
it gives him
Ooh.
melee attacks and stuff. Have
That's
you ever
cool.
seen those videos?
No?
No.
Oh, it's incredible. The animations are amazing. And
that.
I've always been like, I gotta play that, and I never have. So
right.
that is my gift to you guys.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so we're recording this Tuesday for context, and if The Sims 1 and 2 re-release rumors are true,
Oh,
it's over.
forget about it. Done.
It's
I'm in.
over. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I think we should all just play The Sims 1 and 2. Just The Sims 2.
If we could collectively run a house together, that would be really cool. I would love that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you can imagine that like there'd be some like app version of The Sims that just runs in the cloud, and there's like all people can just log into it on their phones for 5 minutes and just like do some fuckery and then log off and log
Shit
on.
on
again
it.
later.
Shit on the floor.
The rumors about...
Yeah.
Log out.
That would actually be kind of cool to have like a virtual house in the sky that you just bomb into for 5 minutes when you're on the toilet,
Yeah.
and then like cause some mayhem and then log off and then just that would actually be an interesting idea. Can a game dev out there please make this?
Well,
This sounds
that's
cool.
the rumor, isn't it? That's what Project Renee is going to be, is like Sims 5, but with multiplayer.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I think
Okay.
the thing is
But I'm
that,
talking about something on a phone that's like kind of
Oh,
shitty.
okay.
And this, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
talking
Project
about something
Renee,
very disposable.
who knows what the hell's happening with that one.
I mean, Sims on mobile, like that game has never
exists.
been like a visual powerhouse.
No.
So it could work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. You're welcome, Andy Wilson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Buy
for your
yourself in New
question.
York. Buy yourself in New York, buddy.
Yeah,
deserve
you
it.
deserve it. Thank you for your question. Do you want to do this other question now? Because it's a quick one. It's a nice one.
Yeah, let's do it.
This
Let's
is
do it. Let's do it.
from Danielle. I really like that the subject line for this one was the only user question ever. And I was like, okay, that's got my attention.
audio for recording for this.
No,
is
there's
there?
not. This is a
No, okay,
written
cool,
one,
cool,
so I'll
cool.
read it out loud. Jake's out. He's gone. My latest tattoo is an anime-inspired leg sleeve, which includes a mashup of my favorite characters. There's a total of 12 characters spanning 6 shows. This got me thinking. I don't have any video game tattoos, and I'm not quite sure what I'd get. So far, all I can come up with is a Motherlode tramp stamp. Which brings me to my question. If you wanted to get a video game-inspired tattoo, what would it be? Do you know anyone with cool video game tattoos? As always, thank you for the truly entertaining content. Thank you, Danielle.
Ooh.
I've come
I'm
close.
so philosophically anti-tattoos, by the way, to an irrational degree.
I am getting another one next week.
I know. My mother has instilled it in me ever since I was born. Like the
Yeah.
very first thing that she ever, even like in the cradle, I can remember.
I was going to
her,
say, your
like,
first
not-
words, no tattoo.
No tattoos. Do you know what I mean? Like literally that. You know, she just hates them so much and it's passed on to me. And all my brothers are exactly the same. I got 4 brothers.
Not a
None
single
of us have
tattoo?
tattoos, and all of us
Wow.
have utter derision for tattoos. Yeah, like, yeah, no. I mean, it's
Wow.
just
My
yeah, for
my
some-
problem.
I don't even know why.
I'm non-committal and I change my mind a lot. So that's why I've never gotten one. I would really honestly just get something that would never change and would always be there for me and I would get pizza like tattooed on me. But in terms of video games, I've strongly considered, so this is like silly, but my best friend and I wanted to do like just like a little thing and get like a snake and a liquid. But then like we couldn't really agree on
Who got what?
got what. So then we were like, oh, what about like Snake and Big Boss? But then it was like, it's not really, it's not very
sure.
cool.
Mhm.
The other thing I really was close to getting, and again, just non-committal and indecisive, the Max Payne 2 art, just like right on my arm. That is like an incredible, just such a cool image.
Mhm.
Well, just the box art.
Yeah.
Max Payne 2 box
The
art.
Max Payne 2 box art, the fall of Max Payne. Yeah, it's so cool. And I think it would just look cool as a tattoo.
Oh yeah, you're
But
right.
I-
Yeah, sick.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not cool enough to have it. I think it would look very weird on me. So
I think it is very cool.
Yeah.
I
I
agree
think
with
that's
that. I agree with that.
I
think I would go on, Luce, go on.
No, I want to hear from you first. 'Cause I have
I think I would
tattoos.
probably. If I was forced gunpoint, had to get a
You can
tattoo.
also get ephemeral tattoos that fade after 6 months to a year.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something.
Mm.
I think
Or temporary tattoo, like a kid at a birthday party.
I think I would probably get one of the little robots from Near Automata.
Oh,
That's cool.
cute.
I like that.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think Near Automata was the video that really kind of started my journey as a reviewer,
Mhm.
right? And I think it would be weird to get 2B painted on me because it would be just kind of weird.
Mhm.
But if you got the little robots,
Mhm.
they're kind of cute and cool looking, and I think that would work. So I think that's probably what I would do. Or maybe like I could do something the Division related as well. Like the Division sort of has this kind of like
Logo across the chest.
logo.
Oh, get the little circle, the circle
Tom
thing, the
Clancy's-
communicator
the
thing.
circle. Yeah, that exactly right. That kind of that paying homage to where I started my career at the very beginning.
Oh.
But yeah, one of those two, I'd say. That's it. Yeah.
So I have 2 tattoos already, neither of which are video game themed. I have a Blade Runner origami unicorn on my arm, and I have a 2 panels from Berserk, the manga, on my leg. And next week I'm getting an FPS exclusive. I'm getting Lucy Van Pelt from Peanuts. It also doesn't help that I'm wearing a Peanuts shirt right now, but
Sure.
there's a really great panel of Lucy saying, I am torn between the desire to create and the desire to destroy. And I just love
That's cool.
that energy. So I'm getting that next week. And so in terms of thinking about a video game tattoo, it's tricky because there are so many games that mean so much to me. But the thing is that I love Mass Effect, for example, but I would not get a Paragon or a Renegade. I don't think I'd get a Normandy, like outline or something. I don't know. A friend of mine has a really beautiful Amaterasu from Akami piece.
That
which
could look great.
looks really good. I personally don't want color in my tattoos. I want to keep them all black and white. I'm trying to think, like, there are certain pieces of iconography, like a Sims plumb bob, that I think could just be like a really cute little splash of decoration, or a hunter's mark from Bloodborne.
The outsider symbol from Dishonored is cool.
Yes. Oh shit. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Or I'll come back and my hand is just bandaged. Or like a fucking. What else? Like what else? I don't know.
Oh,
There's
I would get like the special meter from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on my forehead.
Yes. Oh
Sick.
my god.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I'm taking ideas though. I definitely want to get more tattoos.
I told you when we were recording before, AK-47 on the stomach, Tupac style. That'd be cool.
So a really cool artist. I will put this in. I have the link somewhere. It's on my phone. I'm using my phone to record, and I'll put it in the Substack. But there's an artist who does really good. Like those paintings you get in people's kitchens where it's here's what all the herbs look like. They've done it, but for video games. So there's the herbs of Hyrule, the herbs of Skyrim, and there's a really cute one where they did the herbs and the plants and flowers of Red Dead Redemption. So maybe something.
That's cool.
Yeah, along those lines.
Mm-mm.
We'll see. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, good one.
Yes.
Yeah, banger.
Next up, we chatted to Leah from Bigmode, who were the publishing team of Leah and Jason, aka Donkey. They were behind a little game called Animal Well last year. They published it. It was created by Billy Basso. So we want to chat to her about how the hell do you become a game publisher and what their next plans are. So roll the tape. Leah, thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to have you. We're recording this on the Tuesday. Congratulations, because Animal Well just got a bunch more nominations, this time at the GDC Awards. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I actually just saw that a bit earlier, and I was just, I'm so excited for Billy. It's just, I feel very deserved, and I just love seeing all the awards, big and small, coming in, and just nominations. It's been, just exciting and very cool. Animal Well, sweet. Yeah.
With it being your first published game, did you guys know? Did you have any idea like what the response would be like when you hit go live on the game, or like how does that even work?
I guess we just knew that we love it. So that makes us okay with, what other people think of it. I guess it's just that one of those things, like we were so just happy with the game and we knew it had like a lot of specialness and just something that almost anyone could get enjoyment out of. And, it's got it all going for it. So we were not really worried that people wouldn't be there with us on it. So
I think you guys knew what you were doing with all like the little hidden stuff that the community wrapped onto. Like that went crazy, like almost immediately.
yeah, I mean, that's all Billy. I mean, he's just got like that kind of mind of just packing in secrets on secrets on secrets and just like wanting
true
people
that-
to have that experience. So yeah.
True, there's one that involves your printer. There's like
Yeah,
a secret in
well,
the game
that's-
that involves like hooking
that's
up
a
your
big
printer and
spoiler.
shit.
There may or may not be, but that would be
There
cool.
may or may not be. Okay, I see how
That
it
would be really cool. Yeah.
The reviewers Discord for Animal Well was maybe one of my favorite like review things of all time. Just like seeing people go in there and losing their minds. Like very good use of the spoiler tag, I will say. No one wanted to like spoil anything, but I mean, let's kind of go back to the beginning when with Animal Well. What actually with Bigmode, like what made you and Jason want to get into publishing, and how do you even start?
Yeah, it's kind of like interesting and kind of slightly embarrassing. I guess the very root of
Perfect kind.
what it, if I'm honest, it came out of was I was always kind of following indie devs and things online, and I would see they have trouble with funding and they're running like Kickstarters and these sorts of things. And, I would see ups and downs, and I would kind of just once in a while say to Jason, like, oh, this game I really like I wish they could get funding or whatever. And like, maybe we could sometime like help with funding a game or something. And he was basically told me, oh, that's already a thing and it's called publishing and people already do it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And I just hadn't really thought of that. I mean, I've never worked in the games industry prior and just totally have come at games as a gamer and not really given thought to that side of the business world. So, it was just sort of a naive blind spot. I didn't really know people were doing that. So yeah, that just sort of sparked sort of interest between it. We have like a conversation around it, and probably a good like 2 years after that initial like realization conversation kind of thing, we actually launched / announced Bigmode. So there was, some in between where a lot of research was done and lots of groundwork laid. And yeah, that was just like a real heads down like researching time for me particularly. I just kind of really dove into what was available online in terms of like GDC talks and podcasts and just like any articles and any sources I could find to just like learn more about the publishing business and just what was going on there. And yeah, so I mean learned as much as I could online, and also talked to a lot of people that were, experienced and had experiences with it. So that was, a fun process and a very enlightening process. And we brought together, kind of what we thought our strengths were for publishing in particular. Obviously, Jason has his amazing platform, and I believe he has, a really like, what's it called when you can like sniff out gold or something? Isn't there sort of a term?
Oh, the
like
Midas
he's like
touch?
Yukon Cornelius, right?
just like a good eye. You're like,
He's got a
like
good
a-
eye, but yeah, he's like the Yukon Cornelius of games
I'll
or
do that.
something. Like he's like this one, something's good with this one. Like I don't know, just like I have such faith in his just like taste and eye for that kind of thing. So I felt like, he's such a perfect scout for this, and I've seen him time and again just being great at that. So yeah, things just kind of lined up and worked out that we made it go and launched it. And yeah, no.
Yeah, I love how you guys did it. I love how you guys like buckled down and researched and executed. But was there something at any point like a bucket of water dumped on you where you're like, oh, this is scary, or oh, we need more help, or we need, what was that first big thing?
Let me think. So I guess what I'll say is we're super fortunate to maybe avoid the biggest buckets of water maybe by choosing our partners super carefully. And we were lucky enough that Billy, the developer of Animal, had also already partnered with a man named Dan Edelman, who's like kind of legendary figure maybe in indie publishing. He worked at Nintendo and actually kind of spearheaded and led the indie publishing part of their business. And then he launched like Xbox or XBLA, like the live arcade stuff. And he's just like been around everywhere. And so with him as a partner, it was really like, just we felt someone who's been around here is working with us. And it was just like, a kind of dream team came together. So that really was, just a great thing for a first partnership for us. So.
Sure. I remember when it was first announced, Twitter wasn't too happy about it. What was it like to go through that reaction? Because anyone wasn't terminally online. There were quite a few people that, didn't love the announcement, for whatever reason. And there was a lot of pushback. The idea that Dunkey felt like he could find a good game where everyone else was failing and whatever else. And there was that kind of sense that it was almost a feeling of arrogance that people felt. And there was a lot of anger about that when that first happened. How did that feel to go through that reaction at the time?
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, that's kind of like one of the lesser degrees of mad Twitter's ever been. And just for various things like any Sonic game coming out or anything. So it's, yeah, so we were fine, but it was definitely like something going around where people were, it was rubbing them the wrong way. Some people, I think particularly like some industry side people were kind of feeling like I don't want to say like gatekeeping sort of feeling, like wanting to say like, no, it can't be this way. But that's kind of like the sense I got. And, I kind of understand, but also they did the classic thing where they don't even really like watch the thing they're mad about. And then they just sort of like go off of some tweet where someone took something out of context. And so, yeah, it wasn't like that's your stuff, but yeah, it was just sort of a thing where it was like, well, now if / when we prove them wrong, it'll probably be even better.
And you certainly did. No, I was personally very excited to see the initiative happen, in part because I actually agree with you in terms of like Jason. I do think he has a great eye for stuff. And like I have unironically believe this, and I get in trouble for saying this a lot because a lot of people disagree, but I honestly believe that Dunkey is like a very talented reviewer of video games, right? And that's not to say that every one of you, you know what I mean? Like that's what I firmly believe as someone who does this for a living. Like I watch his videos and I'm like, yes, because he like captures the essence of what a game is and his perspective on it. It's not necessarily, and I know a lot of people say like, oh, it's misrepresenting Xenoblade or whatever, or the Kingdom Hearts laws. It doesn't matter. It's like, it's what he thinks. He puts his like view out there. And I think he does find stuff that a lot of people aren't talking about yet, and has done that over the years. And I've always really valued his perspective.
The thing is, he's a YouTuber. He's a guy making his own video. He edits them. He records them. He writes them. He's doing everything. It's his channel. Yeah. It's not like a games journalism news outlet with a whole team. It's not the same thing. So if people are kind of seeing both of those and like treating them equally, I can see why like, it comes off as, oh, this guy is this or that other thing, and
for sure
he's not doing it the same way as these people. So yeah, I think some confusion comes from that sometimes, but yeah, he's a YouTuber, but he's a great games reviewer too.
I think so. I think as also, I was really happy to see you guys do this because, there is a massive platform there, and using it in this way, I think is great, because, we're fortunate enough to have platforms, and the indie scene, it's really hard. I think on the media side, it's very hard for media people to pump indies, okay? Because on the media side, the economics of that don't line up. And corporations that own these media publications won't let them talk about indies as much as they want to because the clicks aren't there, the SEO is not there, right? You know what I mean? So I think it's very incumbent upon content creators to do the legwork when it comes to indies, because we have complete freedom to cover whatever we like. Generally speaking, obviously, we still have like commercial imperatives as well, but like that's what we can do. And I think that, you know, the more content creators that are using their platform to highlight the indie space, I think the better, you know? And so again, I think it was awesome that you guys took this step and were willing to put your money where your mouth was and do this. So it's really great. And it was fantastic to see such an incredible result in Anna World. Did you have, I mean, we talked about this briefly at the start, but just like, did you have any sense that this game was going to be as big as it was in terms of like its critical reception? Like, 'cause sometimes you know when you've made something really great, or sometimes you play something and you're like, fuck man, this is crazy good. Like, was it that kind of level of certainty, or was it just like, yeah, we think it's pretty good, but then actually took you by surprise just how good it was?
Yeah, no, I mean, going back to what you're saying about the like indie space stuff, thank you for saying that, and I totally agree with everything you said. And I want to mention Jason's own audience were like super, like they understood exactly what you said, and they were like, this is great for like
They jumped right in.
indies
Yeah.
and everything, and it's such like a natural evolution, and just
Yeah.
like they were very, very excited, and just like I was so happy the reception of like, you know, the people we've come to know through Jason's channel had. So yeah, that was, you know, all positive to counterpoint the Twitter stuff. But yeah, as far as Animal Well, I mean, we did have a sense that it could be as big as it was, I guess, but it's, you know, you can't count your chickens before they hatch or something like that.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, we've played a lot of games. Jason has played a lot of games. Okay, more than me. I won't even say we, compared to like how many he's played. He can, like I said, just kind of tell if something is standing out or special. And there was also the fact that just both he and I are super into this game, so we know it appeals to like different types of audiences and different types of people. And it's great to play together. Like you have so much fun just if you're sitting down with a friend or your girlfriend, boyfriend, and you can play together and kind of like someone's got the controller and the other person is like scouting out like, wait, what was that? Like a hole over there, like go back, you missed. So it's, and you can like sort of piece things together as a group. And so it's just like in so many ways it just worked and was special and fun. So yeah, I don't know. We definitely saw all of that. Like if we could get it in front of people and show it off to the best of our ability and try to translate what made it fun and special, you know, that was kind of our goal.
So there was Animal Well, and then you announced Star of Providence. What's the story behind that? Like, how did you get into that one? How did you guys discover that? Like, what's the deal with it?
Yeah, that it's like a bit of a complicated, and I'll try to condense tale, but it's a game that was first released on Steam in 2016, I want to say, under the name Monolith. And it was a game that Jason always really loved, and he featured it on like one of his big Game of the Year kind of wrap-up videos he does. I think it was like Donkey's Best of 2017 that he did it in. And yeah, it just kind of was always this hidden gem in his opinion, and like he just really felt strongly that this was a great game. And shortly after we announced Bigmode, actually the devs there, Team D13, reached out and they were like, oh, Monolith, we want to bring it to Switch. And so we were like, yeah, absolutely, of course, like this is one of Jason's favorite games. So yeah, we just like, you know, couldn't really pass up the chance to work with them and help them bring it to the console, and also just like our goal to try to unhide the gem further if we can.
I like that.
Yeah, so the new title is Star of Providence, as you mentioned. There was actually some copyright issues with Monolith on top of just like kind of SEO whatever issues. Other games had like the same exact title, and it just wasn't unfortunately, it's a cool name, so of course like multiple people were trying to use it. But yeah, Star of Providence also, like, yeah, if hardcore people know, they know like it's also a very good title. So yeah, just a very exciting opportunity to work with a game that Jason has been one of his favorites. And it does have like its hardcore loyal fan base, and people have been really excited for in addition to this Switch port, it'll be the first time it's on a console and a portable console at that. But there's like this huge content update that has been long awaited.
Nice.
So that will be releasing on the same day as the Switch port goes
Right.
live. So
Cool.
it's all happening at once, and
Okay.
yeah, it should be a very exciting time.
What's the
Awesome.
I mean, you mentioned there like even just having to figure out a name change. What's kind of the biggest misconceptions that you've come across about publishing games? Like what's the most annoying part of the process that you've had to deal with?
Yeah, because you went from gamer to publisher, so you've seen both sides.
Yeah,
Dealing with content creator code requests.
I need
That's gotta be
10
it, man.
codes for my blog.
That's right.
that's definitely not. Yeah, I don't. It's like so funny to be trying to say what's the most annoying part, because I've only just learned what the parts are. So I'm kind of like, well, maybe I don't know what. But yeah, I guess sort of just misconceptions about. So we're doing something quite different than what traditionally other publishers have been doing. So there is an extra layer of trying to figure out, a different sort of setup than has traditionally been done. So that's just been sort of I didn't even know that would be a hurdle to get over with people, to sort of explain like, oh no, we're not doing that sort of model that everyone's been doing. And this is what we're doing. So, I mean, not to say it's annoying, it's just like an extra unexpected thing. Because like I mentioned, I was kind of naive about just the whole process. You have to do it to know the process. So it's always, you learn on the job also. You can do as much research as you can, but then, yeah, you've got to experience it to really get to know some of the intricacies. So yeah, I guess for me, that's been one of the unexpected kind of, annoyances, but I'm not really that annoyed.
Sure.
Good.
And so like obviously you've got I'm on this now, Star of Providence. So you've got that coming. And then do you already have anything? You have nothing else announced right now, do you?
Nope.
No, okay, right. So do you have anything locked in that you have not yet announced?
I can't really say, I guess.
Okay.
But we're always looking at exciting things, I guess.
Right. Okay. So there's more stuff coming from Bigmode though.
Oh,
isn't it?
we're not hanging up our hats
Right.
or whatever anytime soon. So
Cool.
yeah.
That's exciting. And did we discuss? We haven't talked about a release date for Star of Providence, have we?
I don't think so. No.
No. So what is the planned release date for that?
Reveal. Okay, it's gonna be February 20th.
Whoa.
Hey,
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So that's like pretty soon.
It's very soon. Yeah.
It's
And
breaking
so
news.
that is a Switch release plus also a major update to the existing game on PC.
Yes, and that update also includes lots of new languages.
Okay.
Localization.
Cool.
So.
Fantastic. Well, that is cool. I had not heard of it before, but I definitely plan to check it out now.
Oh, do you like Binding of Isaac or Enter the Gungeon?
Oh, Enter the
I
Gungeon,
like-
definitely. Yeah.
Enter the Gungeon, yes. I played Isaac, and it's that kind of thing where I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I can see how this might suck you in if you spend a long time with it, but I wasn't in the space to do that. But my brother has put like over 1,000 hours into
Wow.
Isaac.
Wow.
Like he's obsessed with Isaac. It's all he does.
You can do that with Star of Providence.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's that same kind of
that makes
thing.
me it's even better.
It's better than Binding of Isaac. Let's put that on the
You
box
heard it
right
here
there.
first.
There you go.
Yeah.
What do they say? Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's cool.
Well, Leah, thank
No,
you
if
so
like
much.
those. Yeah. Thank you guys. It's fun to see you and chat with you live, and yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'd really love to have you back for the next thing you announce. We love talking to indie developers. We love what you guys are doing, indie publishers. And so, yeah, hopefully, please join us again in the future.
Thank you. I would love to. Yeah. You guys have a great night.
You too. See you. Bye-bye.
Wait, if people are listening and it's not at night, you have to also say have a good morning.
Good morning.
We'll edit it in. We'll do that. That's it.
All right. Yeah. Good everything to everybody.
Later.
Yeah. Thank you guys. See ya.
Don't say it. Wait.
Don't say it. Let's go.
Okay,
keep
let's
going
go.
before I say it. Go.
Okay. What have you guys been playing?
Should I go first?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I got absolutely fucking one-shotted by Civilization 7 this past weekend. I played
please.
23 hours in 2 days.
That's no.
23 hours.
Ralph.
That's a good sign.
You have
That's
a
a good first
family.
You know,
impression.
like, I was honestly like... I was like Theoden on the battlefield after it was all over. My body is broken.
Oh my
I was
God.
done. I feel I needed to sleep
Shrimp
early
posture.
to recover from it. It was so bad.
Oh my god.
But I did play 23 hours of Civ in the weekend. It was fucking crazy. So Civ is still Civ, man. Civ does that to you. By the way, if anyone hasn't played a Civ game before, like that's exactly what they do.
They do.
They are just
Oh my god.
they're just straight crack. They just hook straight into the endorphin part of your brain and just like pump until there's nothing left. It's crazy what it does. But yeah, that magic still holds all these years later. It really did. Just that one more turn. Oh fuck, it's 3 a.m. For anyone who's totally unfamiliar with the series, it's a strategy game where you sort of usher humanity from the dawn of civilization, or I don't know, let's say 5,000 years BC, that kind of vibe, right? And then you go all the way through the modern age where you're like firing nukes at each other and all that sort of stuff. And it's a 4X game, tile-based, turn-based, very big focus on different difficulties, focus on different civilizations that have different traits, different leaders that have their own traits as well. The main difference here with Civ 7, there's a few things. So first of all, leaders are decoupled from civilizations. So you can actually have like Julius Caesar leading the Mongols or whatever, right? You can do that. Okay. So that's one. And Julius Caesar has a bunch of attributes that, like militaristic, for example, that gives him a combat bonus and whatever. Whereas if you
Undefended
were to,
back.
Say again?
Undefended back.
Undefended back. That's right.
Excellent.
So, and actually, Julius Caesar's not even in the game. Actually, it was Augustus I'm talking about. Never mind. Sorry. So that's that. And then the other major change is that you go through 3 ages in this game. You go from the antiquity, exploration age, which is about like getting onto the open seas and like crossing to new continents. And then there's the modern age where obviously the technology kicks in and tanks and all that sort of shit, right? The big thing that happens when you're playing through is that you actually switch civilizations when you move from age to age. So you might start as Roman, and then you get into the like exploration age, and you have to change civilizations. You have to say, okay, now I'm gonna be Norman, like whatever, English or whatever. So all that sort of shit. And then if you get to the modern age, then you have to flip again and you say, well, actually now I'm going to be the, American, American civilization. So that's weird.
That is weird. That scared me. I was like, I'm glad they're trying something different, but I'm going in very like, I hope that's cool.
But do you get to you get to pick?
Well, yeah, the way it works is that if you make certain decisions as you're playing in the one age, it will unlock certain age choices for you in the future. So if you are very on water in the exploration age, that's going to say, okay, you are obviously very into naval power. You have a lot of ships or whatever. So that might let you select to be the English Empire in the modern age example.
Okay.
But if you didn't build any ships, then the English Empire might not be an option for you in that modern age. And instead, if you'd built lots of continental troops, you might be the, I don't know, Russians or what have you, that as an example. Again, I'm just pulling examples. I don't even know that the English Empire is in the game because there's just so many of them as well.
Yeah.
Like the campaign I played was Rome into Normans, into Americans. Yes, that's why I used that example before, right? So, yeah, here's what the goal of all of this is to just remix things more and give it an almost roguelike quality. because you go in with Caesar and you combine it with who has attributes, and you combine it with one civilization that has their own attributes, and then you remix that as you go, because Caesar levels up with his own sort of skill tree and he continues to bring his traits to the table. But then you have to choose a different civilization that has different characteristics, so it remixes the gameplay after that 5-7 hour mark, and it's trying to keep it fresh. And similarly, it'll do the same thing again when you reach that final age. So there's also some kind of like meta progression that kicks in. So if I do use Augustus and I finish a campaign with him, I'll kind of unlock some stuff that will give me some benefits or some more traits the next time I play as him.
The next full playthrough.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The next new game that you start. Because this is all a game. This is not like don't imagine this as being some kind of campaign experience that you play through for 50 hours and you finish Civilization. It's not like that. It's always like you just play. It's like a board game. You play one game and then you start again, right? So I like it from a gameplay design perspective because it does result in some diversity and you can see things getting pretty wild. But at the same time, I was like, feels kind of goofy. I think Civilization has never tried to be like authentic in terms of the way it's worked. It's always tried to remix history and give you this sandbox to make impossible things happen and combining them in different ways. And I totally get that. That's fine. Again, I kind of like that from a game design perspective. But I would like to be able to level up and stay with the Romans all the way through and see how that evolves and see that evolution of that civilization rather than be forced to hard switch. So if there could have been some way for me to do that and also have the option to switch, cool. But you are forced to switch. There was no way for me to stay Rome as I moved into that second age. And that also kind of makes sense because there was no Roman Empire in that exploration age. It was done. And so like that's true to history in a sense. But at the same time, I don't know. Thematically, it feels like a very playful game that's focused more on, as I said, a playful, inventive, roguelike sandbox than something that is trying to deliver an authentic rendition of history, which again, that was never the intention of Civ. It's always been about that, that remixing. So, bottom line though, I spent 23 hours playing this over a weekend, over 2 days, dude. Like that's it. I could absolutely see myself doing that 10 more times had I the time to do it. Like absolutely.
But after all that time, do you feel like you're going to find yourself going, oh well, now I just want to play Civ 5 or Civ 6 for that full seeing an entire dynasty through?
It's a different thing. The truth is, Civilization is dangerous.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play more of it because I can't trust myself with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the truth. And you can't and there are, by the way, smaller map sizes. And you can also jump in at like a certain age. So you can say I'm going to start a new game, but start at the modern age if you wanted to really truncate it down.
So there's a lot of player freedom.
Session.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. Difficulties, game length, map size, you can totally tweak it. And that's before we get into the modding scene, which really mixes things up further. I think there's this weird thing that happens when I play Civilization where I'm incredibly conscious of the fact that I'm achieving nothing. You know what I mean? Like I can't, and I play Diablo and Destiny, right? So those are also the epitome of achieving absolutely nothing. But it's a different thing when I'm playing a Civ game. I feel that in a more elevated sense, and I can't explain why, but I always have felt that. So I love when I'm playing it. I wish that I wasn't thinking these things while I was playing it, but I am often thinking about the fact that I'm like, well, I shouldn't be doing this right now. I should be doing something else. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I can't really describe that. I've always felt that way about Civ games more than most other games that I've played.
Pacing wise,
more than any other game I played, in fact.
Pacing wise, like with the 3 ages, does it feel like, do the ages get long in the tooth? Do you feel like you're like, all right, I've been here for a while, and I only have 2 more in front of me?
I can't talk about the final age yet because that's embargoed until afterwards.
Okay.
But I won't be coy, and I'll just say that like I wouldn't say so. I would say that like there are ways. It felt like a good length of time for the first 2 ages. I won't talk about the third one because I'm not allowed to. But again, I'm not trying to hide anything. There's nothing really much to say. It's similar to the first 2 ages in terms of pacing and what have you. I think that I took my time with them. There were lots of ways that I could have sped things up had I understood the game more deeply. But I really did take my time with them. I would say that, yeah, there are lots of ways to speed this up if you want to, for sure.
This is a tough one to review because it's like you got to spend a lot of time with it to really
you got to play through 7, 8, 9 campaigns, different difficulties, different civilizations, different modifiers, different choices.
Yeah, because I'm curious to see how, especially like not seeing one group like, the Romans through to the end.
Yes.
I'm curious to see how your decisions in one age affect the next age, like how you really feel that. And I feel like that's going to take a couple of playthroughs to really see.
Well, yes and no, in the sense that I can absolutely see it in terms of my character progression as Caesar. Like, he has a whole tree that levels up.
Okay.
There are also these kind of legacy arcs that you sort of fill out as you play. And the more things you accomplish in each age, the more permanent upgrades you take into the next age. Then there is actually the choice of, Augustus and which civilization you choose and their innate traits and what they bring to the table. So there are actually quite a few things that carry over from age to age. And again, that really does add a lot of depth to that roguelite-y kind of aspect here, where you're able to build a build, in a way, like with this civilization, in a way that I don't think I've been able to quite do before with in this way. Well, I think you have, but I think the fact that you're forced to do a hard switch to a different civilization really reframes what these things are. They feel more like video gamey power-ups than they do kind of like immersive evolutions of a civilization. And I think that's one byproduct of their decision to go down this route. I do imagine it's going to be controversial and that some people are going to think this sucks. Other people are going to be like, oh, I like it, it's fun.
There's always something.
But at the same time, for sure. But at the same time, the modding scene will just fix it for you. And if you want to have some really thorough, like some really like contiguous evolution for your civilization, the modders will figure it out and they'll do that for you. But that'll take some time, obviously. But I will say at the top, just to finish, I've really loved my time with it. I'm not a strategy buff by any means. I don't have a good framework to be able to assess these games critically, but I loved playing it. And I wish that I had more time to play it and I also wish I wasn't feeling so guilty when I did that. I would say that. Yeah.
Is this one coming to iPad or something eventually? I guess you could play with Xbox Play Anywhere. Stream.
Yeah, I know it's playable on Steam Deck.
Ooh.
I haven't played it on Steam Deck yet, but it is playable on Steam Deck.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Right. That's dangerous.
I played it. Yeah, I played it on a high-end PC and it ran flawlessly. Absolutely flawlessly. In fact, the build I played had a few minor bugs in it, but it felt very polished overall. So yeah, I mean, it's Civ, man. Like it's. I think
Civ's back, baby.
You kind of know what you're getting with the Civ game. It's very dangerous, as I've said. And the remixing of the formula is going to appeal to you or it's not. But even if you don't like it, I think there's still going to be lots of interest. There's hundreds of hours of enjoyment to be had, even if you don't like some of the remixing, because the core of it is still unchanged. It's still as addictive and dangerous as it's always been, So
just changing things up where the core thing, like, it's like absolute Batman. Oh, it's Batman, but now he's really big.
Sure.
You like it or you don't.
It's Batman, Bruce Wayne crossed with Reacher.
Yeah. I'm so excited for this. I how dare them for releasing this in between Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds and something else I'm probably forgetting.
Yeah.
Like
Avowed.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
So many games.
And Yakuza, Pirate Yakuza.
Oh my god, so many big games.
And there was gonna be Shadows until it got delayed.
Yeah.
So it would February
just
was
a
gonna
bunch
be
of massive
out of
games.
control.
Something for everybody.
Yeah. Well, Jake, what have you been playing?
I played Sniper Elite Resistance.
How's
That's
that?
so funny. Tell us, man. Tell us.
Why is that
What's it
funny?
like?
These are serious games.
It's just a funny game that you don't see talked about very much. Like it's I watch clips of it. I think it's so funny seeing the gratuitous violence of the X-ray
heads.
snipes.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I didn't know this one. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I was like, oh shit, there's another one. Like, they didn't really, and it's not like a Sniper Elite 6. It's just Sniper Elite Resistance, and it kind of feels a lot like Sniper Elite 5. They're all good. They're all really good. This one changes the character. you've always been the same guy in all of these games. But now you're a different guy. You're Harry Hawker, who is this like British specialist guy. And it's all about you're in France, and it's all like French resistance tactics stuff. So you're not going in to, so it's a sniping game. It's like a sniping sandbox game. So it's like you're not going in this time around to like assassinate a high-end general. You're like taking out Nazi infrastructure and like, you know, destroying their research and stuff like that. So where it really works is that at this point they've kind of got like this really good hybrid between the old games, which were pretty much just like crouch and snipe, and the sniping is good
Through the testicle.
through the testicles or the brains or the eyes or, you know, whatever you want, the lungs. Now it's kind of like a good kind of Hitman hybrid where you're sneaking around, you're getting intel, you can replay and have different points of entry to go back in.
See, now I'm interested.
They're just satisfying. It's
Invoked Hitman.
yeah, like there's no social stealth, but you know, it's just satisfying because it's like at this point it's like a pretty well-oiled machine. You know, the sniping is incredible. The moment-to-moment stealth is like pretty good, but this one probably has some of the best sandbox levels I've seen. Okay. They're all incredible. You know, a French city at night, to a castle stronghold, to a massive valley with a Nazi dam that they built and like a power plant in the middle of it. Like a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like they just made more. This one doesn't really feel like it evolved too much from 5, but it's fun to play. And the cool thing too is that it's kind of like the Forza Motorsport of like third person action stupid games. Like you have so much control over how you want to play it. And I had a lot of fun tweaking the difficulty and tweaking the parameters. You can make it way more of a hardcore sniping sim where you're worried about, you know, distance and wind speed and bullet drop.
Right, okay.
And you can have enemies that spot you instantly, to loosening it up a little bit, and you can run and gun. And like it's competent enough as a third person shooter and third person stealth game that it's fun to kind of like fuck around too. So it's been really fun to mess with the settings. I don't find myself usually doing that in games, but here it's cool to get like a different experience. And like the violence is really good. And you know, it's a Sniper Elite game. It's like video game junk food, but it's like it's like a cut above. It's like a little bit of a step above. There's like barely any story presentation. It's not very good. It's never been that great, but this time around they really were like, whatever, fuck it, you're sniping.
Just have fun.
But they also, this time, like there's a bunch of modes. You can do the whole campaign cooperatively. It's like 8 or 9 campaign missions. You can also do these like timed mini game challenges where you're a random French resistance fighter, and it's like take out 10 enemies in a minute, stealth, or snipe 50 enemies like from 5 miles away, and every time you get a headshot you get a time bonus, like fun stuff like that. And then it also has like a 16-player multiplayer mode, like that's like a competitive multiplayer thing, which that doesn't really interest me. I don't go to these games for that, but the fact that it's kind of that old video game package where it's like the well-rounded, where it's like it's got a good campaign, it's got some good multiplayer, and that's it. Like it's cool for that. I had a good time playing it. I played through the whole thing in a flash because it just
I guess as long as you make it.
As long as but I easily put like 18 hours into it. So yeah, and that's with replaying some levels. Taking some things really slow, doing some running and gunning. Yeah, they're a good time. You know, it's not always like a run out and get right now, but they all tend to pop up at some point on a PlayStation Plus or a Game Pass, and it's fun to just like load it up and aim down and just like explode a Nazi. It's funny.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad they keep making these games because it's like, I don't know, you never really hear about them, but they keep chugging along. People keep buying them. Yeah. The studio gets good feedback on them. Like they get good, solid reviews, not like amazing reviews, but like these solid sort of like 7 to 8 out of 10. And it's cool because you're right. It's sort of like that video game junk food thing, and there's a place for that.
It's at the point now, like
full, right?
Yes, they are. I'm excited for that. I really hope that's cool.
That looks really intriguing.
Yeah.
Set in northern England.
Yep.
Oh,
Here we go.
Jesus.
Yeah, wait till they put a game. Wait till they put a game
boys.
on Long Island. It's over. They never will.
Question: have there been any games set on Long Island?
No, absolutely
There
not.
must be
What?
one.
Hang on.
There's got to be
Games
one. Like,
set
literally
in
none.
Long.
there's got to be one. Like
Island.
Max Payne 1 level is set on Long Island or something.
No, I
right?
mean
It's
Queens
gotta be-
and Brooklyn are technically on Long Island.
Okay.
Space Pirate Adventures.
okay.
Hang on, I gotta put my glasses on for this.
What about games set in Australia? There's the Forza one.
Yeah. Mad Max.
Mad Max. Yep. But that was only recently released as a reveal that it's in Australia,
Yeah.
courtesy of Furiosa.
Yeah, they just like zoomed right in on that. Yeah.
They did. They're like, just so we're clear, it's in Australia,
Okay. I
motherfuckers.
didn't
Stop
realize it was-
asking.
Oh, there's actually quite a lot if you look at the Wikipedia page.
For
For
Australia
games
or
set in
Long
Long
Island?
Island or Australia?
Godzilla Unleashed.
In Long Island.
Oh no, Australia.
Australia,
Yeah,
what?
Oh
That's
yeah,
not
the
fair.
Australia game set in Australia has a pretty big. It has a 2-page Wikipedia article.
Jesus. No way.
A lot of
Okay,
lot of
I'm
top spin,
surprised.
a lot of rugby games.
Top spin? Oh, is it
Because it's a
Australia Open?
set, there'll be a stage.
Sure, okay.
Tiger Woods PGA Tours, Project
Oh,
Cars,
these are just
RIP.
stages, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. There's one called The Adventures of Down Under Dan.
Oh,
All
Ty
right,
the
fair
Tasmanian
enough.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Yep, KO the Kangaroo.
Holy shit! Lost via Domus.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my
That's the
God.
Lost game, the tie-in Lost
never-
game.
Is that for
I never played
PS2?
No, it
watch
was
Lost.
360.
360, yeah.
Because I had it. That's bad. Anyway, I played
Mm.
Mouthwashing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is that
Which-
indie
So,
horror
What?
hit.
How
right?
much can you say about this without spoilers?
That's the thing. I
Right.
knew nothing, and I'm really glad that I didn't know anything. I can talk about tone and vibe, but I will not be spoiling any story stuff because I think it was a really cool horror game. It wasn't as messed up as I was expecting because the way some people were talking
people
about it,
hyped
I
it
was
up, yeah.
like, you didn't go on rotten.com when you were growing up. Like I have seen some shit. But anyway, it is a horror game that didn't really give me a lot of jump scares. It is certainly a psychological horror, and it really instills in me I just don't understand why anyone would go to space. I just right, like this is a sticking point. So I used to live with Greg and Jen Miller, and Jen would love to go to space, and Greg and I were like, why on earth would you ever want to go to space? Space seems terrible. Nothing good ever happens in space in the movies. Gravity,
Apollo
like
13.
Alien,
it's
you know,
Star
like
Wars,
anything, like
everything.
people getting sucked out of, no, don't want to be in space. This game is basically about the aftermath of a crash, and it's a crew in a freighter, and they're just waiting to die.
Cool.
That is the premise.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And it has this kind of 90s PS1 aesthetics. Everything is grimy. The sound design is great. I did it in one sitting, 2.5 hours. I'm trying to. It's so difficult because there are parts of it that I really would love to talk about because I think they're just so cool. And like I was texting a friend of ours, Nico, like because he just played it too, and I was like, oh my god, this bit. It's just a really interesting study in horror, in kind of like a really interesting way of telling a story. In again, trying to explain anything.
You're killing me.
The characters as well, because it's not voiced, and so all these characters are so distinct, and you really understand them just like based on. You kind of look at them, you're like, oh, I know the kind of person you are, and then you start talking, and it's like, I know I'm saying nothing. I'm trying to desperately, because I really don't want to ruin it for anyone. Because I had a really good time with it, and I think a lot of that was because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I knew that it's short too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's short.
I'm in.
I feel grimy after playing it. Everything about it is just very precise. I will say there's only a couple of negatives I have about it. There are particular sequences where the game wants you to do things in very specific ways, and it doesn't necessarily signpost. And so it'll just kind of restart you. And that kind of did get frustrating. And there was one particular incident that I had to look up because I was like, I have no idea how to do this. And it's really not giving me any indication on how to do it. But everything else, it was a head fuck in the best way.
A head
and I'm
fuck?
sorry, like a mind fuck. Sorry.
Okay, I was like, that's a new one. That's a new way of saying that. I was like
fucked up in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we redo that because I feel like
no.
Because I feel like I'm gonna get someone to clip that.
No, it's perfect. I have had this installed on like every device I own since I started hearing about it all. So it's definitely been on my list, and it's only like 2 hours long, so I just need to do it. But I also feel like I need to be in the right headspace for what I hear is a pretty fucked up experience. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'll just knock that over now. You kind of like need to be like, all right, I've got a drink ready to go. It's late. It's dark. You know, you just need to be like up for that.
No, play it on your lunch and during the day.
Yeah, that's right. In the middle of the day, of course. On the bus.
But no.
Yeah.
Why would you go to space?
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty cool. I've seen Interstellar. Nothing bad happened in that movie.
Wait a minute.
I apparently have a very bad Interstellar take, so I'm just not going to reply to that.
Unless it's Interstellar is the greatest film ever made, then yes, it is a bad take.
Yeah, let's move on. I don't want to hear this.
Oh, God.
I really believe that Christopher Nolan won't admit what his favorite film is in his filmography.
It's Batman Begins.
I guarantee you it's Interstellar. I guarantee you, because he has good taste, and that's the best film he's made for sure. Absolute masterpiece.
I love you, and I respect your opinion, and that's why I'm going to move us along.
That's every family next Christmas.
No,
so true.
Yeah. Interstellar sure is a movie. I'm excited for the Odyssey, whatever he's doing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Is he gonna play? Is he gonna play Odysseus?
Yeah, if he's, I don't know, man.
I don't know about that.
What have you guys been
who
doing
knows?
that hasn't been involving video games?
Man,
Ralph, you can't say
that's a
tennis
question.
again. I'm
I
moratorium.
watched tennis because the Australian Open was on. So that's the thing, right? The Australian Open. You guys not heard about that?
It's still tennis.
Still
Yeah,
tennis.
no. I know.
Oh man. I watched the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie.
Oh, dude, which one? Spirit of Vengeance or
the first one?
Okay,
and
cool.
I fell asleep in the second one because I was like, I got up at 4 a.m.
Oh, second one's way better.
So the second one is so
It's
much
incredible.
better.
It's so good.
Oh my god! I was watching it. I was halfway through it, and I'm really disappointed. I fell asleep. I'm gonna go back and watch it. But I was like, this is a good film. Like they really knew what they were doing here. They knew how to use Nick Cage and his crazy energy.
Yeah.
The first one is fucking terrible.
bad.
It's so weird
Yeah.
and bad, and he plays like this Daredevil guy. I forget the guy's what's his name? Johnny Blaze, and he's like got this terrible haircut and
haircut's
like
so good.
and it's so funny because there's this like flashback thing where it sort of like shows Nick Cage when he's young, and they cast this guy who's like this handsome dude, like really handsome guy, and it's like you could just tell that Nick Cage is like, yeah, he looks like me,
this guy.
absolutely, put him in. He does not look remotely like Nick Cage when he was young, and. Oh god, it's such a train wreck of a movie. It's still fun. Like I enjoyed it a lot. And again, I would happily sit through that than I would, I don't know, Ant-Man and the Quantum Mania or whatever. Because those movies just feel so fucking played out now with all the CG and the garbage and whatever. Right? And obviously this has plenty of CG too, but it's kitsch, it's silly, it's funny. It's just like it's got some spirit to it, you know? But then the second one, super good, and I'm really bummed I didn't watch the end of it, but I will.
Is this part of your bad?
Yeah. This is actually this plus the unreleased, because so there's these two movies, and then there's the last one we want to watch in the series is the Fantastic Four unreleased Fantastic Four movie.
I've never
only watch
it.
on YouTube. Exactly right. So we're gonna watch that one, and also I think we kind of need to watch Joker 2, which I think broadly falls into this. I haven't watched it yet. I think we need to tick it off.
Did you watch the Captain America early 90s movie?
I actually did
That's
watch that
incredible.
one. Yes,
It's
so funny. The guy is just such a
Asshole.
random dude. He's just such
He's kind of a jerk.
Oh my god, he is actually kind of a jerk. And there's a scene where he's like with his mother, and this guy looks like he's 32. The mother looks like she's 28 maybe,
Oh
and this
my
is back from
God.
an era in Hollywood where it's like you would just cast a woman who's slightly over the age of 24 and now she has to be a mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it looked totally ridiculous. Terrible movie. But yeah, I think at that point we've then watched every single like superhero movie full stop. Like there's
That's
just none
impressive. Just in
others.
time for the new Captain America. Is that the new one?
Yes, we
Yeah.
will watch that. We will watch that next week. I don't know. I'm not feeling anything for that one.
No.
I'm not really feeling anything for any future MCU release.
Yeah.
No. Me
Like
either.
the Avengers stuff, they're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, well, that sucks. Don't do that.
Cool.
That's bad. So I'm pretty done with all that shit. I think.
No.
Played out. Anyway, that's what I watched.
Yeah, Jake.
Hope you guys aren't sick of superhero stuff, listeners.
Go on, absolute Batman time.
I've been for like mental health. I've been like reading before bed quite a
Love
bit.
it.
And I just reread Daredevil Born Again. I haven't read that since I was like a young teen, and it's really, really good. It's Frank Miller writing, and I think he's got a good grip on Daredevil. It's a very depressing read though, because it's Matt Murdock with everything taken away from him. Kingpin essentially finds out his identity and systematically ruins his life. So it's kind of him coming back from that, and it's very cool. But there's also a sequence, or there's an issue with Captain America where he shows up because he's in New York, so like he's gonna show up. And the way Frank Miller writes Captain America is fucking incredible. It is so good, and it was only for like an issue.
Why?
So he writes him like someone who has doubts almost, and also
Like Cap has doubts
about like his mission, his country, what his country is standing for. He knows what like he believes in, but he's just questioning everything. And then also the age thing. It's only like a couple of lines, but it's like his internal monologue, like acknowledging like, no, that's what a bitter 80-year-old would think. But like, you're not technically that, but you are, but like, and he's like, and it's just like a couple of really interesting lines that I was like, oh man, when people like do Captain America in interesting ways, it's really great. So like now I'm like rereading like all the Brubaker stuff. And
I reckon you didn't read Avengers Twilight?
Oh, I never read that.
Avengers Twilight is basically like, what if all the Avengers got really old? And what happens?
I love that.
And it's actually I really loved it. It was very interesting because, I won't spoil any of it, but a very interesting Cap rendition and some cool spins on the characters. And that's just really the secret to most good superheroes stuff. Make them old and sad. And then
It does work.
like all of the best superhero stuff is eventually that.
It does
when
hit.
you get bored of it, makes them old and sad and then tell that story,
Yeah, so Daredevil Born Again, I don't think that's what the show is going to be about at all. I think they're using the name because it's like, it's back. Technically, Daredevil season 3 on Netflix was pretty much Daredevil Born Again. So
right, okay.
there's that. Really good, really depressing story. It kind of reduces Karen Page to like a heroin addict, which was kind of weird. It's very 80s. But other than that, very good. Very good stuff. Good Daredevil.
I'm watching Severance season 2.
Oh man, I've been trying to just set aside everything in my life so I could watch season 1. I've never even seen
I
season
never
1.
did either.
Ooh.
I watched the pilot. I loved it, and then that was it. I never got back to it.
Season 1 is up there with like a Westworld for me in terms of like it's just such a good, strong, confident one season of TV, and I was kind of like, I was nervous about a season 2. Not that they didn't have anywhere to go; they absolutely did. And so, the thing I'm not going to kind of drill into like what makes it good, because I think just watch Severance. It's on Apple TV. You get Apple TV free with everything. Please tell your friends about that show. Actually, tell your friends about Blackbird, because that is the other really good show on Apple TV. And Bad Sisters season 1. Season 2? Anyway, the thing I think Severance season 2 has really instilled in me is that I am so beyond done with Easter egg fan theory culture, because I'm getting it served to me, even on Reddit, on TikTok, and even just scrolling on Blue Sky and stuff. I get these things and I'm like, I'm really glad you found that. That's really cool. But I just remember how much enjoyment from Westworld and Game of Thrones and other shows that I had to cover at work was sucked out because I had to do that. And I think I'm at the stage where I just want to go along and enjoy a story. And I get that finding Easter eggs and figuring things out is like, you get that dopamine boost of feeling clever. But I think I'm just exhausted by it. So I just want to enjoy the show for what it is. And even when you're not looking for things, it is still a bloody good TV show. Like,
Good.
from the, like, even performances aside, the story aside, costume design, music, set and production design, it's so striking. And it has that feeling of confidence, like I said earlier. And it's just, you can tell it's an expensive show because my God, is it an expensive show? But it's great. And so I'm really enjoying that. And The Repair Shop.
What is that?
So, a lot of shit going on recently in the world.
Oh, wait, is this reality TV about someone getting their shit fixed?
Okay, well, when you say it like
Definitely
that,
is.
when you say it like that,
It's
it
some
doesn't sound good.
BBC, like,
yeah.
It's a BBC show where, and this is the key thing for me, a bunch of artisans and craftsmen come together. Like, there's a leather worker, there's pottery expert, there's a person who's really good at fixing clocks, upholstery, furniture repair, woodworking. And what people do is they bring sentimental items that have broken, and these craftspeople repair them. And I fucking love watching artisan videos like Stutson Studio, Nerd Forge. Like, I love watching people make and repair things, Baumgartner Restoration. And so this, with a wholesome British twist, even though the main guy, Jay Blades, apparently I'm wronging, he's also really annoying because he just comes in, he's like, all right, governor, I'm not even in this bit, but I'll just insert myself in this conversation. Anyway.
his name is Jay Blades.
That is actually how all
Yeah.
British people speak as well, by the way.
really
Hey, governor.
All right. Anyway, it's a great show. And I just got a VPN again. And I was watching it with my friends, and I recommended it because they also like watching that kind of stuff. And we all had this moment where we're like, there's 13 seasons!
Wow.
So it's
crap.
great.
You're set.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's what I've been up to.
Is there like a sword forgery? Because I like those types of things.
There used to be Man at Arms. I don't know
That
if that's
was
still
good.
going.
Okay.
Sure.
Nerd Forge, I really recommend. And
Okay.
Studson, I think it is Studson Studio, but he's really funny. So I watched a video the other day where he made a Katamari, but out of Tears of the Kingdom Zonai equipment pieces.
That's cool.
And he makes miniatures and stuff too. And it's really cool. And his editing is really sharp and funny. And so, yeah, if you want like something to switch off and relax to, that I recommend. Anyway,
Cool.
Good stuff.
thanks for joining us for another episode of the Friends Per Second podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's a thorough one.
It's been good.
It's been a fun one. Ralph, where can people find you?
Right here, baby.
Yeah. Jake?
Right here, baby.
Right here.
Right here.
Jake.
You can find me right here, baby.
Right
Catch
here,
me
right
on
here,
the
right
Skill
here,
Up
right now.
YouTube channel. It's me, Jake from Skill Up.
That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah, you can catch me right here, baby. All right, bye.
Well, actually, we're also on Spotify. Wait.
Oh, yeah, we're on
Always other
Spotify.
places. And don't forget the Clips channel, and don't forget the Substack. If you want to get some news, get a newsletter for us, it's free.
Yeah.
Just a nice little reminder of what we've talked about,
Yeah.
how it all works.
We promise to stop
yeah.
calling you baby.
That's right.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Now we're doing some dunking at the end of the episode. It's a nice finish. It's perfect.
All right, Jake.
Catch us there. Catch us on the places. Tie your shoes and go to bed.